for speeches is done. The first great test is here. My order to you all is simple, yet heed it well, and exert yourselves to see it done. They are coming. Kill them all.
Best album that Metallica ever put out. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to The Rational Male. I have to say boys and girls because apparently I have adolescents watching my show that are going to be influenced by me today because I am an influencer. Corrupting the youth of the UK and everywhere else at all points in between. Live from Las Vegas, this is The Rational Male. Thank you very much. We have producer Kyle in the command center today. Oh boy, shall we make our rounds? It's that time of year, Kyle. That time of year.
Your girl at Coachella right now. You need to calm down and relax, okay? Everyone is saying if she's at Coachella, she's not your girl. She's everyone's girl. Bro, shut the fuck up. This is a music festival, not a loyalty test. Girls are out here dancing with their friends, vibing to the music, wearing fun, cute outfits. It's not even that wild. Look, no one is naked. There's literally no one naked here. So what are you worried about? Meanwhile, the guys are out here in shirtless
No, bro, they're all on Molly.
cowboy suits and outfits and hats and shit, and no one says anything about them. And let's not forget, guys, networking at Coachella is insane. There's a bunch of fashion models, there's a bunch of magazines, influencers, content creators. If she's not at Coachella, if your girl's not here, does she even want to make money and take care of you and your family? So stop tripping. Girls, send this to the group chat or your boyfriend so everyone gets the message. Coachella isn't some wild betrayal. Your guy's just insecure.
Well, he is right because it's not quite like Burning Man.
It is,
but I don't know, bro. We're gonna respond to that again on Access Vegas this week. So
she already has 12 other guys telling her she's pretty. Be different.
You okay? Oh, is it not on the...
The saying is, look, I have to marry you, make you my wife, in order for you to start doing wife things.
I mean, I'm just a girlfriend.
Okay. Okay. Shrika, do you want to marry me?
Yes.
Why?
Because you a provider, a protector, you watch out for me, I love you. Why would I not want to marry you?
I appreciate that, and I love you too. So what you're saying to me is, those are the things you want your husband to do?
Yes.
So you see your husband in me?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So the things I'm doing right now, even though I'm not your husband, you want your husband to do. And the crazy thing is, that's just who I am. Not because it's what I feel like I have to do. I do it because that's who Jeremy is. I'm already a husband. I'm just not your husband yet.
speaking of husbands.
Divorce and all this, and it basically ruined my life. It kind of ended my life. Like the old Trey was way different before I got divorced. You know, I was a vibrant person, but now I'm a little bit more like just serious. It took a lot out of me. It kind of took a lot out of my soul, if I'm being real.
I don't think enough people understand. Trey Little is a very good friend of mine. He's been on Access Vegas at least twice, and people don't understand his story. Like, I don't think we've ever had gotta get him in for an interview, but people don't understand his story, like how he came up, and he came up out of a really bad divorce and then just sort of brought himself up from being zeroed out.
I've been divorced twice. I'm on my third marriage, no judgment. So if you are out there and you're like, okay, I've had a couple marriages and I'm single again, and now I'm getting ready to turn 62 and I want to draw Social Security. How do I tell which one of my ex-spouses I should draw off? If you don't know that clearly one made a lot more money over his lifetime than the others, if they both like similar and you're not really sure, or maybe you married to the first one 10 years ago from 18 to 28. Now you're 62. You lost track of the guy. You have no idea how successful his career was. What you do is you have to take your original marriage license, go get one if you don't have one, or get a certified copy. A Xerox copy won't work. And your divorce decree. Go to your local Social Security office. They require an appointment, and that might take you a couple months to get. You go in there and you tell them, here, check out these guys' work record. Which one would be more beneficial for me to draw off of? And if you want to draw at 62, they'll tell you the amounts and help you apply right there at the office.
There you go.
Wow.
It's all a racket, my friends. All a racket.
To climb, it's a survival game. You've got to get to the top somehow. And it masculinizes you, and that woman comes home and is hardened. Your softness is hardened. And these conservative guys don't like it. It's less mom energy and more boss babe, and they're not into it. They're not into it. They're not drawn to it. They don't need a carbon copy of their masculine, high testosterone energy in their house. They're looking for a woman. It's not appealing. And I know I say this all the time. Women will look at other women and say, oh, that's really cool. Guys don't care about your job in that way.
That's nasty. It is nasty, right? Isn't it nasty? Ugh.
Not younger than me, she's not skinnier than me, and she's not prettier than me. Then why couldn't it just be me?
Because she's softer than you. She's quieter than you. She doesn't yell at me. She doesn't call me an idiot or tell me to shut up all the time. She listens to me. She's nice to me. She doesn't make me feel like the only thing stopping her from being happy is me.
That's the one they should be showing in the UK right now instead of this adolescence.
Men are attracted, generally speaking, the research shows, to men based on 3 reasons. The third is kindness. They don't want someone who's going to be a good person. They're impressed by men who are good to their parents and kind and go out of their way to help people when there's no reciprocal expectation.
I would love to know where he's getting these stats from, because I've heard him rattle this shit off on so many different podcasts right now. And I'm like, dude, that doesn't jive with everything I have about dark triad personality traits, and I can produce those studies for you, Scott.
The second is intelligence, because the smarter you are, the more likely you are to make good decisions and protect your family's offspring. And by the way, the fastest way to communicate intelligence is humor. I've always said if you can make a woman laugh, you can kiss her.
Wow.
And then the most...
Yeah, and if that were true, guys like Danny DeVito and like Chris Farley would have been swimming in top shelf pussy.
The important thing, though, to women, and people don't like to admit this, is the man's ability to signal future resources. It's not even he has to be rich now, but he has to have his act together such that he looks like he will be a decent provider. And the number of people, the number of men we're producing that qualify in this category is shrinking.
Tell that bitch to be cool.
All right. Oh, these last 2 are pretty funny. Which one should we go? Let's do this one here.
Blew my back out last night.
Hell yeah.
No, because you were hogging the bed and I slept on it funny.
Oh, my bad.
Can you take me to the chiropractor?
Can I just get some gas money? I was actually at the mall today and I saw something that reminded me of you, so I bought it.
Oh, babe, that's so sweet.
You want to see it?
Yes. Oh.
Ta-da! It's just like a...
I feel like I just took a bath in battery acid.
Favorite loophole?
You gotta drive to Vegas, do the deed, get divorced, drive back. It's like it never happened.
Would you rather not wear your garments or commit arson?
I'm gonna have to say arson, you know, like the garments will protect me.
What's your favorite loophole?
I would say the armpit.
So would you rather have a sip of alcohol or unalive a puppy?
Unalive a puppy.
What do you think about Nick Mose?
Oh, I love him. It's just easy, you know, no commitment, just casual.
those are all the Mormon loopholes you could get through. Like nobody. That's funny. Nobody mentioned soaking.
Right.
Oh, gentlemen, welcome. Oh boy, it's funny to be in here like 2 days in a row, like
Right.
one right after the other too, especially because they might. I was going to say, Aaron Clary and Ryan said they might drop by, so we'll see how that works. We'll see if they do. That'd be kind of fun. But if you are wondering what the hell I'm talking about, we did a show yesterday, a live show with Mike Sartain, myself, Ryan Stone, who is in he's in the States. He's stateside. He's decided to flee he's seeking political asylum in the United States from Canada. And then we've got, then we had Miguel, we had your brother here. And we had my partner, my business partner, Joe Marron was in here as well. So we had a good time for about 2.5 hours yesterday. It was a very good show, very well watched show. We didn't have a lot of high paying super chats. We had a lot of super chats that kind of came through. That was nice to see. I have to start today's show with a little bit of a downer. So I apologize in advance, but I would feel bad if I didn't say this first. One of my good friends, if you guys know who Red Pill Thor is, Red Pill Thor got some really bad news. And if you have been following along with Red Pill Thor for really last year and a half, he has been struggling with brain tumors and cancer, brain cancer, I guess. He had some of them operated on. It looked like he was making recovery for a while, but they have come back and they are very aggressive. And so I'm getting flashbacks of Pat Campbell right now, just to let you guys know. So I'm kind of sorting this out for myself right now. But he put out a video. I believe it's on Twitter. I believe it's up on Twitter right now as well, just sort of giving his health update. And essentially, they're just trying to. And let me just also for the record here, I have my issues with Glenn Lawrence, but I'm glad that Glenn is actually there helping him out right now. So yeah, he's decided to decline the chemo. The tumors are inoperable apparently, and so he's just sort of writing his memoirs and sort of making his plans. So it's really kind of tough. And as I said before, I watched Pat Campbell sort of decay before my eyes. Now I will say this: Red Pill Thor is most definitely not Pat Campbell. It was very sudden. It was something that was a shock and a surprise to me when Pat Campbell passed, when he was diagnosed with his brain tumors. He was in a coma for about 4 days, and the way that went down with Pat was he ended up like sort of swerving off the highway because he blacked out from the tumors in his head. So fortunately, that's not what killed him. But later on, of course, about 8 months to a year later, that's when Pat passed away, and I'm glad that I was at the memorial. So anyways, you can talk to Thor. He's still coherent. There's nothing wrong with him, at least this way. He's putting out videos. So if you know who Red Pill Thor is, I'm going to also ask you guys to make a donation to his GoFundMe plan, which I believe he has linked on his Twitter right now. So just to let you guys know and just keep you all in the loop, because I've known Thor for, God damn, I can't even remember how long I remember when we did the first CME with Donovan Sharp's CME, and Thor was there, and it was good to meet him. Like I'd known him like online for a long time, but I never met him in person until it was in Miami, and it was a really good time. And of course, he is Scandinavian. He's definitely Norse, and so we have that in common. And so we're always like handing off, trinkets and arming bands and stuff like that, and all of our Viking heritage. I'm from Denmark, if you didn't know. Yeah, it's a little rough. And so I'm just, like I said, I'm kind of trying to sort it out myself, because this is the second time I've had to deal with almost something identical with this. So that's the case, and I'll keep you guys in the loop. But if you are so inclined and you want to contribute to his GoFundMe, the GoFundMe is actually for his wife, Missy, who is also I want to say she's paraplegic. She was in a hit and run accident and has been sort of immobilized for a long time, and it looked like she was making some progress, but now, of course, Thor's declining chemo. So if you if you are so inclined to donate, please head on over to his. Just look him up. It's RP Thor on Twitter, and you can donate to his Kickstarter. Well, it's not a Kickstarter. It's a GoFundMe. So, anyways, sorry about the downer, but that I feel like I got to get that one out of the way. Just announcements really quickly here. Quadriplegic. I'm sorry. Thanks for clarifying that, Sam. But yeah, I knew Red Pill Thor when Missy was still walking around, and so it's been quite some time. I should also point out this is the reason I have the Camaro that I have is because Thor talked me into getting, and maybe that's not such a good thing because that is a money pit car, let me tell you. Yeah, it was funny. The first time we went out, like Thor came with me to go see the Camaro, and it was convertible. So he's like, yeah, put the top down. so we go racing up and down like Sahara. And I'm like, I'm buying this car. He's like, I think you should. And little did I know it was a salvage title. Like, oh God. But it was worth it. I'll every time I get in the car and I fire it up, I think about Thor. So that's at least that's a good memory I have of Thor. So anyways, just to let you all know. Thanks for that, Sam. I forgot she was paraplegic. Siege D, let me grab you real quick. Hey, Rolo, I've spoken to a lot of anti-Red Pill guys who say that TRP is dead. Oh, you mean like Destiny did? Wow, what, back in May of last year? Isn't it somewhat of a good thing so they can leave us the fuck alone and we can get back to informing and helping people? In some ways, but I wish that were the case. I'm not saying I don't really agree with that assessment, and I'll explain to you guys why. Actually, that's kind of what today's show is going to be about. And don't worry, we're going to get into nuts and bolts today too. But I want to also get through some announcements here. One thing is on Saturday. This Saturday, I will be in San Diego. I will be at the Town and Country Resort in San Diego. Joe Marone and I are going to be I think he's got a yacht or he's got a boat that he's rented that we're going to go take out in the bay. But we are going to the Bunny Ball, which is essentially kind of another version of Babes in Toyland, and Mike will be down there with us as well. We're probably going to do some live streaming there. I am going to be doing this show on next Sunday from my hotel room, I presume, in San Diego. So you got the week off, Kyle. So I'll be doing that, and it'll be it should be fun. I've got my DJI Osmo, so I can do some more videos, kind of like what Mike's been doing. So I think we'll probably end up doing some stuff where we're down there. So check out my Instagram for that. Check out my Twitter, which is it's just at Rational Mail. No problem. And then this Wednesday, let me explain to you what's going to happen this Wednesday. We've Mike and I have decided that we are going to be changing the day for Access Vegas to Wednesdays just to see how it works, like in the short term. Because the last time we did Access Vegas was on my birthday, which was April 2nd, if you didn't know, and it was on a Wednesday. And if you remember how many girls we had on that show, we had more girls on that show than we had seats. So we decided to do a little experiment, and we're going to be switching the show day over to Wednesdays. It'll probably be every other Wednesday for the time being. I'm looking to make it every Wednesday during the summer months, just to see if we can sort of do a weekly instead of a sort of bi-weekly. So anyways, that will be on this Wednesday, and I want to say that's the 16th, right? And so we'll be doing that on Wednesday, and then I have a very special. I don't know if you might know this guy. I have a very special male guest for the show this time, and I've because you're watching my show, I'm going to give you like my strategies behind all this. My very special guest is this guy. He's a personal trainer at Powerhouse Gym.
Oh, okay.
One of my well, I guess I would call him a training partner. If he's doing the same body part on the same day I am, then we'll work in. But I've mentioned his name a few times. It's not Hide Yamagishi, although Hide Yamagishi would be great. Hide is the IFBB Pro champion of 2023. And I would love to have him on, but I've got Alvaro Pena coming in, and Alvaro is definitely a bodybuilder and personal trainer. And if you go to Powerhouse, you know who Alvaro is. And I'm just gonna say it, okay? Like Alvaro Pena is a good looking, no homo, is a good looking dude, okay? And the guy is there's your clip. And the guy is he competes in bodybuilding contests, but like not like Mr. O. He's like in the fitness categories. What's there's a proper name for it, and I can't remember what the actual classic or whatever it is. Like there is a specific division that guys like with his physique compete in. And I don't know, I'm not going to say it's not swimsuit, because that would be like the girls thing, but it's like physique or something like that. It's like a special category kind of thing, but the dude like wins these freaking things. Anyways, so here's my thinking behind this is I want to see how the girls react to having like a guy of his caliber of good looks. How like I want to see how distracted they are. Yeah. And so I'm going to ask my audience right now, like if you're going to watch the show, please watch the show. But I want you to watch the girls on the show and their reaction to Alvaro when we're on there, because I will tell you, if you want to understand what like alpha tells are, you're going to see them on Wednesday. So I got Alvaro coming in, and Mike also told me yesterday that apparently he's got a lot of girls coming in from the Rhino, from Spearmint Rhino, for that. So that should be it'll be a fun show if nothing else. So there is something to be said about that. Let's see. Do we got anybody else? Oh, we do have this. Cappy is wrong. Rolo is the Red Pill's #1 hiker. Just look at his cans. Cappy, thank you. No, I was going to tell you this. I didn't want to say this when we were on the show yesterday. Yeah. But one of the things that Cappy always does is like if somebody new comes out, he's like his first thought is like, "Hey, let's go hiking." I'm like, who the fuck? It's Las Vegas, man. Like, can we go see a show? Can we go? The heat just started. Let's go to I was gonna say, can we go see the Golden Knights? Can we go like to can we go see New York or Resort World or I mean, it's freaking Vegas. No, we're going hiking. Okay, where are we going hiking, Cappy? In the Red Rock Desert. Like I like to hike. Honest to God, I like to hike. Having lived in Reno and the Tahoe area for a long time, a hike to me is to go up into the mountains where there's trees and there's shade.
Not a rock.
And it's not like the surface of Mars. And I'm just like, whoa. And then as if that weren't enough, it's like Ryan flies into Vegas. Mm-hmm. And as soon as he gets here, Cappy throws him in a car and drives him to Zion National Park or something like it in Utah. Okay. But anyways, it's Dune. It's just like Dune. Yes. Yeah, Golden Knights are the division champions, and no one's going to let you forget that this week because it's all over. It's all over the place out here. But yeah, what's my workout routine? You really want to know? I do. Have I told you this? I do. Do you know who Jay Cutler is? Yeah. Jay Cutler, bodybuilder, big as fuck. Dude. And by the way, comes into Powerhouse every once in a while too, because he's a Vegas local. He had, I think he still has it. It's called Max OT, which is Max Overload Training. And there's a reason why I don't do a fitness podcast, or I don't I very rarely talk about physique, or like I've learned this. There's certain things that you probably shouldn't pretend you're an expert about. One of those is like, unless you're actually a personal trainer. That's probably something you should not talk about. Martial arts. Never ask me what martial arts I practice, please, because I'm not going to tell you, because I will tell you this. The moment I've ever been in a conversation where people say, "Oh yeah, what do you do?" I do Taekwondo. People are like, "What the fuck? That's for kids, man." Or if you say, "Yeah, I do Hapkido," right? Or I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which of course everybody does, right? Or I do something or whatever. I do Kali. But the thing is like the minute you start talking about that, there's always some expert that's going to say, "You'll get killed if you do that." I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to talk about that. Or firearms. Never talk about firearms. Well, on YouTube anyways, but never talk about firearms like when you're in the company of like 3 people, because somebody's going to tell you don't know what the hell you're doing. Yeah. Right? There will be that guy in the 3 random people. That guy will be in there and he'll be like, "Oh man, you You don't need a 556. You need a 308. What are you hunting? It's like, Jesus Christ. There's always an expert.
I will say working out is one thing I did read a lot of literature on.
Yeah.
That's one thing I do know.
Yeah. Well, I know what works for me.
Yeah, because everything's personalized.
Right.
Regardless.
So that's why I don't feel like I'm qualified to talk about like what my workouts. My workout is really a sort of a modified version of Jay Cutler's Max OT. So I work out, I lift heavy ass weights like Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
I lift heavy ass weights and I'm maybe getting 4 to 5 reps, right? And you work out to positive failure.
Yep.
And Drew Bay would probably hack up in disgust because he's a good friend of mine too. But Drew is like very low weights and very slow, like concentrated movements, which all works very well
time under
for
tension.
Drew. Yeah. And so I know what works for me. I've done other side. You know what? My first workout routine was Bill Phillips' Body for Life.
Bill Phillips.
Yeah, it worked. It worked until I got to a certain plateau, and then I couldn't get past that. So.
Well, at the end of the day, it comes down to consistency.
Yeah. Yes, it does, and that's when people go, "Man, Rollo's yoked. What's he doing?" Well, consistency. And as soon as I moved to Las Vegas and I started going to Powerhouse Gym, which I've been there for over a year now, and you're lifting consistently, and I've got the best like instructors you could possibly think. Hida Yamagishi, IFBB Pro. You've got Iris Kyle. What 10 times of Miss Olympia those are the 2 owners of Powerhouse, and they got Alvaro, and there's other people there too. Like it's the most positive environment I have ever been experienced. It's my church. For Christ's sake, it's the Church of Holy Iron.
So you could do the most perfect workout.
The glorious House of Gains. Yes.
Like you could do the most perfect workout twice a week, but the guy that goes 7 days a week, 5 days a week, are still going to beat you.
Yeah. Well, it's true. Well, and then people go, "Oh man, must be the TRTs working. Or he must be on gear. Or must be SARM." Like I have done SARMs before, but the thing is that like none of that, you can do all the gear in the world. Like you're not going to get as big as if you were going to go and actually work out and you're consistently working out. And you're on TRT. Muscles don't magically jump on your body. You've got to go and actually put in the work to a consistent work to have it. Love your work, Rollo. I turned 34 this month. Parents and relatives sometimes pressure me to get married. Oh boy. What would be the right time to marry? That's up to you. Today's show is going to be very anti-marriage, actually. And I don't mean so in the sense that I'm like, if you know anything about me and my take on marriage, I'm not against marriage. I've been married for 28 and a half years. Do I think it's a great institution? Do I think it's a great concept? It's formal. Like I was watching James Sexton on what is it? He's talking to what's that guy's name? The comedian? It's not a no jumper. It's Flagrant 2.
Flagrant.
Yeah, he was on Flagrant 2, and he was talking to those guys, and I'm already familiar with these dudes, from back in the day. But it's funny to see how they kind of squirm when because they're all Akash is married, and Andrew, what's his name? Andrew Schultz. They're both married, right? And they don't want to talk shit about marriage because their wives are watching this stuff. But they got to put Jim Sexton on there because Jim he's the new hotness. Everybody wants him on their show, right? And good on Jim. But the thing is like everybody dances around like, don't talk about it too much. My wife's gonna hear, Oh, so you're against marriage now, are you, Andrew? And my whole understanding of Jim coming out and talking about this stuff, like he's been on my show. Kelly was on my show before anybody else's, but he and I both agree. I would idealistically love for everybody to get married and have what I have. But one other thing I don't talk about very often is like, how do you have a great, successful marriage? When is the best time to get married? Right. I could tell you when the best time for me was, and that was 28. Right. But for you, that might be something different. Right. Like I know what works for me in the gym.
Yep.
I can tell you what works for me. Max OT, Jay Cutler. Thank you. But I can't say that's the way your body is going to respond to that kind of physical stimulus, right? But the thing is that we've corrupted the idea of marriage. In fact, I threw that one video in at the beginning there, I've used this video before. It's a black couple that were there, and the guy's talking to her. And actually, I think it was Fresh who gave me this. Gave me the link to this video. And I think it's interesting because it gets to sort of the heart of what I wanted to talk about today. Is, or at least part of what I wanted to talk about today, is that we have to have, like, men have to be elite. And I mentioned this on yesterday's show. Is like marriage is only for elite men. You have to be like this guy, the black guy in the video, Jeremy. He's got to be on his game. He's got to be motivated. He's got to have his abundance. He's got to have money. He's got to have game. He's got to have muscles. He's got to be in a reasonably good shape. Like, you think of all the list of prerequisites that women like demand of a guy that they're going to, settle down with or change their lives for. And the guy has to be pre-approved, right? He has to be, he's got to have all of those things before the woman will change herself into a wife. And she doesn't have to do shit, right? She does not. And this goes again back to the heart of what like Andrew Willson was talking when he was like taking on Tommy Lahren, right? What's in it for the guy? You want a guy who's taller than you, makes, at least half again as much money as you, which is always very important, right? Because economically attractive. I find it fascinating right now that nobody makes this connection, because everybody who says, men are not eligible for marriage and they're not eligible bachelors anymore. And it's like, okay, so that's your primary concern when it comes to marriage. It's not love. It's not this idealistic, oh, I love you. Oh, here, it's not this romance. It's not like the, make the little gum wrapper ring and put it on your finger kind of thing. It's not that. How much do you make? Show me your 401k. Show me your tax returns from last year, right? Show me your credit report.
Are you a horse worth betting on?
Exactly. And I think that's something that, and I talked about this with Jedediah Bila, actually kind of behind the scenes, but the sort of like the pre-qualifications that a guy has to have, he has to be elite level before women will settle on him. And I thought about this, and it reminded me of that video, and so that's why I threw that in there. But also, this is not only, think about this, to be elite level, right? $100,000 a year. Like Mike was saying this yesterday on yesterday's show. To be at, what is it, $120,000, that puts you in the top 5% or top 10% of earners. If you're like at 300,000, you're in the top 5, right?
Yes.
And yet you have to go think about what it takes for a guy to have to be taller, in better shape, the amount of effort and the amount of work that goes into becoming elite level, making that being in the top 5% of wage earners. Clearly, that's the most important part right now, because that's the first thing anybody talks about when they're talking about men ain't shit today. Women make more money than men. Yeah, they do. I mean, in some states and some economic sectors for sure. Or like who's the wage earner and who's the majority wage earner in the marriage? It's rapidly becoming women more. Who's more educated now as far as graduation is concerned? Women. Okay, fine. Now, if I'm the guy that has a college degree, maybe even advanced degree, I'm taller than you. I got to be taller than you. I've got to be in better shape than all these other guys. I've got to have all these things that Jeremy in the video had in spades. Now, I've got to do all that so that I can get you to be a wife. You don't have to be a wife. You don't have to qualify. You don't have, like, Tommy Lahren was like speechless when Andrew Willson was talking about this. But it's not even so much what do you bring to the table. It's why am I putting out all this fucking effort?
Yep.
That's the question isn't what do you bring to the table? What do I get in return? What do you mean? What do you get in return? This isn't some transaction. Yes, it is a transaction, because you're the first thing out of your mouth was how much money. Like, let me see your tax returns, right? Let me see your credit report, right? So I have to be elite level for you to even consider changing yourself to be submissive, to be deferential to my authority. I have to make you a woman of luxury, right? I got to be able to earn enough money so that you don't have to work anymore for you to want to in any way be soft, sweet, nice. Like in that one guy who cheated on his wife, And she's like, she's not better looking than me. She's not skinnier than me. She's not this. And well, so why can't it be me? And the first thing out of his mouth is because she's nice, because she's quiet, because she cares about me, because she like actually shows interest in me. He doesn't tell me I'm stupid. And that shuts her up and crushes the whole scene right there. But that goes back to the heart of what Matt Walsh and what Megyn Kelly have been talking about. Like, that's why there's this clash. By the way, there's another video out where Matt Walsh is responding to Megyn Kelly that I might get to today. But when I'm watching this and I'm seeing this unfold, and I'm watching all these people talking about marriage, and I mean, I was just, as I was just saying, I'll get into this in a little bit more detail in a little bit here. But the fact of the matter is, you got a guy who becomes elite level, and then he has to also hope that woman is to get into an egalitarian marriage with a woman who wants to pretend like that they're both equals, right? And maybe they are, maybe economically they are, maybe sort of like on the same wavelength, whatever you want to call it. They're equals. But again, as I said before, women cannot look up to a man who is her equal. And that's really the biological evolutionary, basis of all this. Is why Megyn Kelly is wrong, because society, the social construction, all this other stuff that she's mentioning about, like, oh, these guys are brainwashed, they actually believe this stuff. It's like, no, they don't, because society is downstream from biology. Gender identity is downstream from biology. Everything we talk about, everything we think of as some sort of social issue right now, it's downstream from biology. So why would men want to get with thinner, hotter, younger, tighter girls? Because they're reproductively desirable. And so you can complain all you want to about Megyn Kelly. You can complain all you want to about guys who are of your equals, your caliber. They don't want to get with you. They don't want to get with a high-powered boss babe, as Jedediah was saying in there. They don't want to get with a woman who is masculine. Generally speaking, heterosexual men don't want to marry other men. They want to marry women. And so the fact that there's this, like Megyn Kelly, and I could play it again, I suppose. But the thing about Megyn Kelly's video from last week and then just yesterday, I watched it again later on, and I'm like, her entire premise is based on what should be and what ought to be. So high-powered boss babes, alpha females, should, in parentheses, should be desirable, but they're not. And she thinks that the reason for that, and by the way, a lot of other women do now, especially now that we have like all this focus on incels and adolescence and all this other shit, and this suddenly there's this endemic, a toxic masculinity, or it's patriarchy, or it's misogyny. It's like, it's not misogyny. It's just simple biological evolutionary fact. It's not because they've been taught, like men have been taught to want to get with a younger woman who's 23 years old, who's a hot piece of ass. They want to get with a hot piece of ass. It's not fucking rocket science, and has been going on since 200,000 years ago, when we were all living in hunter-gatherer tribes on the sub-Saharan African savannas, right? So, like, T-Rex doesn't want to be fed. T-Rex wants to fucking hunt. And that's part of that whole narrative right there. T-Rex wants to hunt. And what does he hunt? He hunts 23-year-old chippies is what he hunts. He doesn't go for boss babes who look just like, who have the same teeth and the same claws and the same height and everything. They don't, like, T-Rex is not looking for, that's not his prey. That's not what he's after. It's unbelievable that we are in the 21st century. We're almost 25 whole years into the 21st century, and we're still going back to the 20th century and saying, well, it must have been social construction. All these guys have been taught by this endemic patriarchy that they should want a young, hotter, tighter girl. No, they're not. It's evolution. It's the way, it's in our DNA, man. That's how our brains were wired. And it's like a fucking cliff or the curb this high. Like, how can you not see that? Especially, she kept saying, oh, I talk to conservative women all the time. And they're very concerned about this. They're concerned about what? This social movement that's teaching these men not to want to get with high-powered bitches like me. And then, of course, she makes it all about her. I told Mike this. I said, "There's only so many Megyn Kellys you can tolerate in the world, right?" Sorry, Jed. There's only so many of them. Actually, I shouldn't even throw Jed into that. Jed knows her shit now. So as far as your to answer your question at 34, do you want to get married? Like I'll throw this question at you. I'll answer your question with a question. And this is Jim, as I paraphrase Jim Sexton. What problems does marriage solve? Tell me that. Well, I want kids. Okay, you might have a point. I want to have a 2-parent family. Okay. The problem is, as I was saying before, is not only do you have to be an elite level guy to get that woman to want to be married to you, do you understand the risks you're taking by getting into marriage in the first place? Have you read the manual? Have you seen the stipulation? Have you signed the title yet? Have you looked at what you're signing on for? Like I the undersigned, agree to pay for X, Y, and Z. And I think that's funny is like guys, I mean, again, to paraphrase like Rich Cooper, guys love to complicate their lives. And women are right there to help them do it, But the thing is that why, if you are an elite level guy in the first place, why would you want to get married? Why would you want to get married at all? Because you spent all this time and all this energy and focused on yourself and became the best version of yourself as possible. And yet you're going to take all of that. How long did it take you? Till you got to be 34, 36 years old. So 36 years of your, well, maybe, okay, since you're 18, whatever, 36 years of your life to become what you are. And you're going to sign up for probably the worst downside risk of a contract you could ever put. You're going to bet all of that on a parachute that opens 50% of the time. Like, why would you do that? Why would you? This is just, I'm not saying marriage, don't do it. I'm not saying marriage isn't a great institution. It used to be. I just don't like the way we do it now, as I said. But, from a practical sense, from a pragmatic sense, you're basically saying this: I am going to build myself out and become the best I can possibly be. And again, I'm following, what's his name? Charlie Kirk from TPUSA. You have to be a self-made man, and you have to make sure that your wife is a woman of leisure and she wants for nothing before you can buy a PS5 and go play Space Marine 2. I'm going to do that stream.
Oh yeah.
And then you've got he's not the only one. You got Ben Shapiro saying the same thing, and whatever you think of Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh has said the same thing too. Like, well, we need men to be men. We need guys to be dominant. We like women. Like, we need to allow them to lead. Who they don't have to allow to lead is guys who are already leading, guys who are already made, guys who don't want to have anything to do with boss bitches like them, right? But why would you go and put that kind of effort and have that kind of commitment to your own self-development and then put that on marriage? And here's the funny thing. Women believe they deserve that risk, you taking that risk. They're entitled to you taking that risk. And God damn it, you better do it before she hits 32. Because mom wants grandkids. Unbelievable. Hey, Rolo, Andrew Willson did really well with the feminists, part 2. I have that video on tap. Would you like to watch it? All I can say is, donut. I keep tweeting on his posts to have you and Myron on next. Yeah, good luck with that. That will probably never happen. Yeah, I have a feeling Pierce Morgan is probably, my reputation probably precedes me with Pierce Morgan. Certainly Myron's does. Hi, I have dated, YOLO. Hi, I have dated a girl for a year. Bravo. Ooh. She is nagging me a lot. Oh, in a year. All it took was a year, huh? Jeez. About I done have time. You don't have time. I am egoistic. You mean egotistic? Only you're definitely not egoistic. Only think about myself and don't care. I have tried everything, but she don't stop. She don't stop. How can I make her stop nagging me? Leave. Here's how you do it. Leave. The very fact that you would be like sending me this in the first place, you already know the answer. I love it when people like I get people on Minect, or I'll get people like on email and stuff like that, and they'll type out this wall of text and go, "Oh, I did this when I was 12 years old, and my mom left my dad," and blah blah blah, and they go through this stuff, and they're like, "What should I do, Ro?" And like, the answer to your question is in your wall of text. You already know. You just want me to give you permission to eject. Here, I'm giving you permission. There you go. That's what you should do. What should you do? That's what you should do. Okay. Just leave. Just leave. That's all you have to do. Do you not trust yourself to find somebody else? Oh, hey, Jim. Okay, I'll push you to the front of the line. This kind of real talk is bad for my business, my future earnings. Yes, I know. I'm sorry. Hey, I can think of another way we can make a lot of money. Why don't we go on Soft White Underbelly together? They probably don't. They don't want to talk to me. I'm sure they don't. But there's somebody else who does. Coming soon. I can't give the baby's not cooked yet. She's pregnant, but we don't know if it's going to take. People ask me that last. So I was really cryptic about this on the show yesterday. I have an upcoming really big announcement, and then I said, but I compare. This was an analogy. This isn't. People take it literally. This is an analogy. Don't take it literally. But when your wife or your girlfriend or whatever is pregnant, you don't talk about it until you know that the baby is in there for like 2 months or something, and you're going to be okay with it. Then you can talk about it. No, I'm not going to be a grandfather. Okay. So I'm just saying that wasn't what that was. That was an analogy, but I've got an iron in the fire. That's a pretty big iron right now. So we'll see how it goes. My 3 greyhounds send Ned and Anna good vibes. Okay. You have 3. Oh, that's right. You do. You have lots of greyhounds, don't you? Is marriage for elite level betas? Elite level betas? Yeah. Elite level men, period. Whether you could be a blue pill alpha and be an elite level guy. You could be hell, you could be just like all the crypto bros and make a shit ton. You go from zero to hero, and suddenly you have $10 million in your bank account. And man, with girls, just I don't understand. They just seem to flock to me right now. What? It's a Scooby-Doo mystery. Can elite level alphas like Elon Musk is not an alpha. I'm going to say that right now. He's the richest man in the world, but not an alpha. We would be on fucking Mars right now if you would just read my book. Seriously. You know what's holding you back, Elon, from landing on Mars, putting us a colony on Mars? All of the bitches you have to support. 14 kids and what? How many wives? 7?
I think it's 7, yeah.
7 girls. Like, how come Tradcons aren't like, bravo, Elon, bravo, you're repopulating the planet? How many does he have? He has a lot. And you nailed Amber Heard, and you got away scot-free.
It's 14 children with 4 different women.
4 different women. 14 kids with 4 different women. Are we counting Ashley Smashley?
Yeah, I guess that does count.
Okay.
Yeah, Ashley.
Because there was another girl that was just after Smashley too.
Oh,
is number 14. Smashley was 13. Lucky number 13. Yeah, I don't really look at Elon Musk as being an alpha. Now people are going to go, what? What is Rollo saying? No, he's definitely doesn't have an alpha mindset. Now, does he have a drive and almost a psychotic OCD level of need for accomplishment? And yeah, just like Steve Jobs did. Steve Jobs was like, people used to say about Steve Jobs is that he had a reality distortion bubble. And Steve Jobs was a pathological personality. Same thing with Elon, a pathological personality. Now people go, oh, does that mean he's a bad guy? No. Having a pathological personality, most people are dicks, right? Most guys who have pathological personalities, especially if you pair that up with autism or you pair that up with like other personality traits, yeah, that guy can be a real pain in the ass. But it doesn't necessarily mean that having a pathological personality can't be creative and can't be also productive. So when you look at like Elon Musk, pathological personality for sure, but he uses it in a very productive, creative, constructive way. So I think people, when this is why I have to explain this. The reason why I keep saying the dark triad personality traits should not be called dark, because they are very fucking useful and they keep getting repeated in generation after generation. They're selected for by women because they find them attractive. Why? Well, they must love evil, right? Or if you're going to listen to like Jordan Peterson, he's going to go, well, when women are younger, they want to get with these guys, but when they're older, they know better. They're smarter. Their amygdala or their prefrontal cortex has fully developed and they're not fooled anymore, Buster. So you better act straight. And all I have to say to that, Jordan Peterson, is a Tinder swindler. Okay. Remember that? Remember the chick who was like, what, 32, 34, something like that? And it's like, that dude was definitely dark triad. It's not an education level. It's women find those personality traits to be hot. Why? Because they were evolutionary useful in our ancestral past. That's why. We should not be calling them dark. Okay. Now, can they be like anything can be like, if you look at the big 5 personality traits, like agreeableness, conscientiousness, and all that stuff, if you're overly conscientious, that can be a bad thing.
Yep.
If you're overly agreeable, you're a fucking doormat, right? But if you're agreeable and you're like, hey, you go along to get along, you have a good personality and you take that on the chin, or you just sort of like, pick yourself up by your bootstraps because you're more agreeable or conscientious, right? That can be a good thing, right? So to call those personality traits dark and some are better than others, it's like, it just depends on the application. But we tend to think of narcissism, psychopathy? I think it's psychopathy and Machiavellianism. Machiavellianism. Are you kidding? But my wife would probably love me to have more Machiavellianism in my personality traits, because it's like, fuck yeah, you just be, a mercenary when it comes to your business. So some of the most successful people are narcissistic and Machiavellian. hell, I could even make a case for Elon Musk in some ways. And Leonardo DiCaprio have relationships on their terms. Do they? Now, Leonardo DiCaprio certainly does. I don't think Elon Musk has a plan. I think he just puts his dick on anything that looks like a lot of fun. Ashley St. Clair. And like, clearly he puts his dick in crazy. We have that proven. That's been proven for us. So I wouldn't necessarily put Elon into those rankings, but definitely elite level, and you can be beta. Sure. Wheezy Bird. Just tell me when, brother man. Just tell me when. I'm ready to go. Yesterday on my, you know what? Let's do it middle of June. That's the only event. I'm reserving some dates, but yeah, you should come to Miami with us, man. We got Wheezy Bird. Yesterday on my date discussing modern relationship dynamics made me wonder, do men with low experience success getting with 8 of 10s is the main reason for imposter syndrome that drives the woman up? No, well, yes and no. Imposter syndrome itself doesn't, but the incongruency that you manifest as a result of feeling like an imposter does. So indirectly, I would agree. And so low experience, and you're trying to pretend like you have experience. Well, dude, fake it till you make it, man. Right? Make sure that you make it. But there is no power in the universe that is more forceful, more seductive anyways than irrational self-confidence. I'm bullshitting, but I'm gonna make it happen anyways, right? You want the basis of courage is irrational self-confidence. Yeah. What do you think about the current Ethereum dip? The dipping? I haven't looked at Ethereum in a long time. I have some.
Ethereum's in the shitter regardless.
What about Bitcoin? Bitcoin's kind of...
Well, Bitcoin's trailing back. I mean, right now we're in a chop phase regardless.
I'm just looking at Sol right now. Sol is through the fucking roof, man. I'm like happy about Sol.
This is where you switch assets and start making money.
Yeah, I need to. Yeah, well, that's when you can sort of diversify a little bit more.
Exactly.
I've been Sol's been doing real good lately. And then all the altcoins that are tied to Sol, right? So you got Fartcoin, which, by the way, your brother locked me into. So. Yeah. And that's like all of them started picking up right after the tariff flip flop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully it lasts for a little while, but I don't know. It's funny to see stable coins like Ethereum sort of take a hit while you've got soul on the come up.
Well, yeah, I mean,
gosh, now you're gonna make me look at my wallet. Okay, because I haven't looked at it in half an hour.
I mean, it's just more buy opportunity if you didn't buy yet.
Mhm.
Being honest, this is why you DCA.
Yeah. Oh, it did fall off a cliff a little bit, didn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, crashed with everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
But it's still up for the week, though. Solana's still up for the week. It just fell off today, didn't it? God, I hate it when it does that. What else do we have? Come on. I gotta look at my wallets. Yeah, it fell. I mean, it's not. I've seen it fall further.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like, oh shit, I better get out now. Well, but it's still like way up for the week. So
Yeah.
Like, I think if people stop looking at it like by the day and start looking at it from the week or the month, it might be like, all right. T, thank you for the 79 pence?
Pence.
Thank you for your pence. It seems that men should have at least one experience leaving a woman, so in the future they know they can when they actually need to. Yeah, I mean, it's experience. Experience teaches harsh, but it teaches best. Gosh, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think how many relationships I've bailed out of, and I'm gonna say like 4 in my past, in my rock star, my semi rock star days. But it's just because I got tired of it. It wasn't because of it wasn't really anything like, and I just didn't want to hurt the person. I wanted to go fuck other people, and so I'm just like, hey, I gotta bounce, right? And wasn't even anything necessarily bad about that person. It was just, yeah. I mean, it's funny to me because like I think I did things a little bit differently. I mean, it was a different time. But like I always say, guys, their peak years tend to be like right around their mid-30s. If you're following the standard life track, right? I didn't follow, as you know, I haven't followed the standard life track in my life. It was just funny to me because like when people hit me up and they go, man, Rolo, you still look like you're in 9th grade or 10th grade. Oh, you want to see here? Wait, hold on. This is what I'm wearing today. Yeah. I usually only wear those on stage, but yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, I would agree with that. And not just like, don't be a dick about it if you can at all avoid it. But I think there's certain experience that comes with that. Well, that's actually one of the reasons why I say you should spin plates, because dating non-exclusively insulates you from one-itis. Dating I mean, you're probably going to catch feelings eventually, right? But I think a lot of people think that that's like very mercenary. Or whenever I say, like when I spin more plates, right? Or they have a real problem with iron rule of Tomasi number 3, right? Which is any time a woman makes you wait for sex, the sex is never worth the wait. That's not about the sex. That's about the wait. People really, all they hear is, you want an easy girl? Would you tell your daughter this? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I would actually. She knows, she's read at least the first book. So when people talk to me about that, they think that I'm like advocating, which I'm not, but I'm just like pointing out, basic facts here is like when you are dating non-exclusively, you put yourself at a far lessened risk for catching one-itis. The soulmate, she's my soul. I think she's the one, Rolo. No, she's not the fucking one. Okay? There is no one. People, well, would you say that about your wife? Yes, she knows. I've said this before, right? I mean, we're very much in love. We click very, very well. I just don't believe in the soulmate bullshit, because the soulmate is the magic. It's the mythology that a social order needs, so that people will magically think that they are in so we have social cohesion, right? So that we have monogamy. And I know Jim's watching right now, but when I was watching him talking on Flagrant 2, the guys there were just like dumbfounded by all this. But one of the things maybe I slightly disagree with Jim about is a lot of people want to say that marriage is like, oh, it's for aristocrats and nobles to, establish land management and royalty and politics and international. Yeah, I'm sure that's part of it, but peasants and serfs and fiefs and whatever else, the poor folk, they still got married and they had no land and they had nothing, they got jack shit and they still got married. Marriage, by the way, Christians, you don't have a monopoly on marriage. People in feudal Japan were getting married. People in China had a form of marriage. Every culture pretty much has a form of marriage in some, like some fashion, right? And if you're not Christian, guess what? The Jews got married too. Didn't you ever see Fiddler on the Roof? What about Muslims? Yeah, they can have up to four wives, right? They get married too. You didn't make it up. But we tend to add mythology to things to sort of reinforce them, right? So if it's because marriage has become what it is, now we have to talk about the one. Now we have to talk about the soul. Here's how to meet your soulmate. And let me tell you something. I have seen this how to meet your soulmate videos on YouTube, and it's not chicks that are doing it. It's guys like dating coaches, relationship coaches going, guys, come here. I'm going to show you 7 easy tips so you can always find your soulmate. Dude, please. No, just stop it. Stop that chick speak shit. But the soulmate, is a necessary mythology so that people will stay married, or people will want to get married, or people will want to have at least some sort of socially enforced monogamy. That's all the soulmate is. It's a mythology that is meant that with the latent purpose of cohesion for socially enforced monogamy. That's when all that shit came up. You know who doesn't talk about soulmates? Muslims, because they can have 4 wives, right? Any polygamous society or polygynous society is not going to give 2 flying fucks about what soulmate. Get out of here. Go make me a sandwich. Tie my shoes. Yeah. The thing I was going to say, I should have followed up with that. The thing I was going to say about Flagrant 2 and Jim being on that show, the whole thing about getting married as being sort of this aristocratic noble families did it to make sure that there's political ties and nations wouldn't go to war with other nations because their daughter was married to the Prince of Spain or whatever and stuff like that. And it's like, well, there were a lot of very poor people in Spain in medieval times and the Renaissance and the High Renaissance. They're in Western Europe, like I said, slaves, fiefs, peasants, proles, whatever you want to call them. They got married too. So it's really, marriage is this is me spitballing here, but from my lofty perspective here, marriage is a formalization of monogamy, and that's why every culture has had it. So it's like, are you a ride or die chick with me? Yes, I am. Do you want to have babies? Yes, I do. Do you want to start a family? Yes, I do. Let's get married. Let's formalize this. Let's go get in front of our families and our friends and God himself and declare that we will, love, trust, obey, and in sickness and in health. And what's funny is if you look at the traditional wedding vows, that's an insurance policy. That's what that fucking is. If for richer, for poorer, got that, baby? What am I signing up for? Is it me, or did the red pill suddenly become non-taboo to talk about for TradCons after Ashley St. Clair? I would think it was developing steam anyways. Ashley St. Clair, by the way, I locked horns with that bitch as early as late 2023. And I will tell you this right now, her entire life is a lie. Every ounce of it, every freaking thing that comes out of her mouth is just a lie. And now we have confirmation of that. But she was part of a sort of a wave of trad femme, trad wife like, we're good evangelical. She was like part of what Hillary Crowder's crew back then, and she's not the only one. There were other ones that were there too, like Isabella, is it Isabella Moody, or was Isabella with DeLuca or whatever her name was? She ended up going to federal prison, or she was indicted for January 6th or something like that. I forget, but she came at me, all these people coming at me, go, oh, that's Rollo, he's fair game, right? Because it was an election cycle, and everybody was like falling off when it came to the red pill. And I want to also point out, thank you for bringing this up, Blonde, is that everything that's happening right now is exactly what I said of how I was going to go down back in November and December, because people kept saying, okay, well, we're out of Trump's in office now. What do you think is going to happen? I said, you're going to see all these people who abandoned ship when it came to the red pill, and they're all going to come back. And here they are, wave after. Even Matt fucking Walsh sounds like he's been reading all 5 of my books now. Where are my royalty checks? Or I love Carl, who actually, I kind of like Carl Benjamin because he plays Warhammer 40,000. And I think he plays World Eaters too. But he's been talking he's been talking to the BBC or like whatever news sources in England right now, as if he's been red pill his whole life. And I'm like, that guy gave me so much shit back in like 2022 and 2023. And God knows, like when all that bullshit was going down with Destiny in the summer of 2023, he was one of the first guys to pile on. And by the way, Jeremy from the Quartering, I'm still waiting for my fucking apology for that. Oh, it sounds like you believed, like from the jump, believed in Lawrence Southern and Destiny and all these other states, which now, by the way, has been entirely confirmed. I'm 100% fucking vindicated. Still waiting. Where's that apology, Jeremy? And I like Jeremy quite a bit. I've been following Jeremy since he was like opening Magic the Gathering cards. And I liked it, man. I remember when he got his ass kicked at Gen Con, and I was like, God damn, I want to go and beat that guy's ass. Like, how dare you hurt my bro, right? Yeah. I like Jeremy quite a bit, but like when that went down, he was the first to the jump. And what's his face from fucking Nerdrotic? Yeah. Do you have any apologies? No, probably not. Because nobody cares. Mike's right. Nobody cares. Using an AI arbitrage bot, I'm averaging 1.84% per day Ethereum compounded daily. An arbitrage bot.
Oh, for arbitrage?
Arbitrage, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's farms you could do that on different crypto. Fucking 500, 600% APR.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Group collab with Torsha, Jedediah Bila, and Rachel Willson. I'll do a pay-per-view if you can get Torsha and Rachel Willson together. By the way, it was a great show yesterday, a good panel. It was, and I hope we can do it again. I'm hoping Ryan will actually move out here. I'm working on him. I'm trying to get him to come out here. I would love to see Torsha and Rachel Willson. Yeah, they would actually probably agree on a lot more than you think they would. Why the beef with Jordan Peterson? Because he's a charlatan. The guy is like, let me see if I can put this in Vox Day terms. He's a master of baffle garble. He says nothing, but he makes it sound. He just rattles off a bunch of words, and like it's like incoherent. I was listening. And by the way, the most incoherent I think I've heard him lately is when he was on with Pierce Morgan recently. We started crying. You can tell when he's off his meds. You really can. I mean, you can see like he gets flushed in the face and everything. It's like, Jordan, if you're gonna go on like national TV, like please, like do whatever you got to do chemically. Rational Trucker, a friend of mine's mom was being swindled by a Nigerian high school kid pretending to be a rich older man. She is in her 70s. He had to check him out. Have you seen the video I sent of Critical Drinker discussing adolescence? I got the link. I have not seen it yet, and I like Critical Drinker quite a bit too. I lock in with him on a lot of his gaming and his pop culture opinions too. But I'll check that out when I get a chance. I want to give kudos to Black Pigeon Speaks. I like Black Pigeon, by the way. Speaks, giving an excellent hit piece on grumpy old women seething at older guys for dating younger women. I try to bring that up every chance I get with Mike Sartain. He's the expert witness in all of that. Speaking of Carl Benjamin, he's now saying women have a duty to marry young men and have kids And I'm like, it's not happening, dude. They don't care. Yeah, they don't. And I think what's funny is that you see these guys like Matt Walsh, who's going after Megyn Kelly with some pretty cogent points. Or you'll see like Carl Benjamin. I want to know when Carl Benjamin became a red pill expert. Would he call himself red pill right now? Because he's rattling off a lot of jargon that sounds very red pill to me. I have a video of Carl that I kind of want to opine on a bit. Who are your favorite conservative creators? My favorite whipping boys? Or people who I agree with. What's funny is a lot of the guys that I talk about all the time, they might not be conservative in the perspective of like they're I'm trying to think who's the most conservative dude I can possibly think of. They're not like really uber right wing. They are they're kind of like most of the guys that I know that I work with, like for Justin Waller. Justin Waller is very conservative. Why wouldn't he be? I mean, he's got his own, steel building company and everything. He's a very conservative guy. But you wouldn't get that from him from like his videos and just talking to him. I can tell you who my least favorite ones are. I don't know. I'm trying to think who I would listen. Jedi Bila is conservative. He's one of my favorite creators. So. Very conservative. Oh, what time is it? It's 2:14. Time for Michael Sartain. Oh, Michael Sartain is in my tweet. I'm not going to tell you what he just sent me. Remember, he always interrupts me at some point during the show. So there you have it. Dano the Mano. If a woman has a severe sexual past, should she be honest with her potential husband or lie in order to keep the relationship? What's better, honesty or deceit to preserve a relationship? Should men respect honesty or leave anyway? You want my take as a 57-year-old man, 57-year-olds now? When it comes to bisexual past, I'm presuming you mean body count. Okay, let's just call it what it. Let's just you can say body count. This is the rational male. Or are you because sexual past can mean a lot of things, right? Maybe she's got a low body count, but she was all into like anal sex and like freaking monkey kinks and stuff like that. I don't know. Like that could be part of it too, right? I don't know. Whenever somebody says like severe sexual past, right? Okay, severe is in like she has like triple digit body count. Because if that's the case, and I think that's probably what you mean, as long as, like I kept saying, it's not about body count, it's about who was the most significant alpha in that girl's life. Now, I would rather, this is me, this is from Gen X life experience here, I would say it is better to have an honest whore than it is to have a nice, sweet, good girl, good Christian girl who is going to be a prude, is going to be frigid, is going to lie to you, that or she's settling on you. I would rather have an honest whore than a woman who is settle on you, because one of those girls, at least the honest whore, is not going to ruin your life by trying to convince you that you're going to be able to sort of turn her into, like, they just say you can't turn a whore into a housewife. Yep. You can't turn a housewife into a whore either, or it's very, very difficult to do so. And so when you have like the good girl, I actually tweeted this out. I said, better an honest whore than a woman who settles on you and doesn't tell you that she's settling on you, because you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to figure out if she's really into you, if you were just the guy with benefits. You were the guy that saved her from her decaying sexual market value, right? So that would be where I would go with that. I would much rather be with a woman who is open about her sexual past, and then be able to at least I'm working with accurate information, right? Then I can say, well, do I want to be with this chick or do I not want to be with this chick? Instead of the puritanical little, church mouse girl who is going to tell me what I want to hear for the rest of my life because I was the guy that she settled for, and she doesn't want me to know that I was the guy that she settled for. Does that make sense? Because one is a life fucking sentence, okay? I would rather avoid the life sentence, put it that way. Oh, she's a whore, Rolo. Yeah, but this one's a life sentence over here. I want to give kudos to Joker, Better Bachelor, who revealed Megyn Kelly had her kids through IVF starting at 35. Yeah, that's true. And I've had this discussion with Jed, so I don't think she would mind me bringing this up. But I brought this up in the past too. Is Jed didn't start her family she has a little boy, and she has Jeremy, which is her husband. A great family. One, I love them. They're family friends, right? But Jed actually, she mentions this on the show. She followed the career path of Megyn Kelly, right? Until she got to Valuetainment. And now she's doing her own thing to her credit, and she's bounced back from it, and she's kicking ass, right? She's a very motivated, very type A personality, okay? Would I call her an alpha female? No, but I would call her a type A personality for sure. Very driven, but she's also a mother, and she's also health conscious, and she's also I had to check her on this. Remember when I said, why are you calling Jeremy your partner and not your husband? So she's not, the best thing about Jed is she's insightful, and she's open to constructive criticism too. So, and I would expect the same from her too. If she told me I'm full of shit, please tell me I'm full of shit, right? I would respect her opinions. I think iron sharpens iron. It doesn't have to be a guy that's sharpening you. It could be the woman who's saying, what, that sounds a little off. It's true. But that's the path of a lot of women. I was watching this. It was an older video, but it was there was a trend. I think it was back in 2017, 2018 of women freezing their eggs. And I've written about this a lot of times. I said, the reason why women freeze their eggs is not because they're trying to, they're developing their career. It's because they can't find the right guy. And the right guy is an elite level dude. The one she wants to marry is an elite level guy. And the older women get, the less desirable to that elite level guy that will only do that she becomes. So what's the answer? As I said before, what have I told you before, children? I've said this before. I said, if you can give women the impression, or you can sell women a product that teaches them or in some way reinforces the idea that their sexual agency or their sexuality is evergreen, you can make billions of dollars. And that's exactly what cryogenically freezing eggs does. It's it's okay. You just got to find the right guy. Don't worry about it. You can still have a baby at 50, right? We'll just inseminate it and put it back in you, and you'll be able to go. Okay, you're selling the idea, the dream that's being sold is that your sexuality and your reproductive, capacity, anyways, at the very least, is evergreen. So if you look at FOMO and YOLO, if you can sell women on those things and then mix in there oh, don't worry about it, you're going to be sexy at any age, sexy at any weight. God, it was so great yesterday when and I knew he was going to say this too, but when Cappy was he's like, you want to know the real reason why we're having such a problem between the sexes? Because women are fat. I'm like, he's not wrong.
Not wrong at all.
Why don't people get married with 10-year contracts and renew it after 10 years or discard it? People are hypocrites, swear eternal love, and divorce in six years. Didn't they do that in Scotland? Wasn't that a Scottish thing? You get married for 5 years and then you can renew the contract, or you can renew it. I wonder if that was an old medieval thing. That sounds familiar. You know what? I would say that. Do I agree with something like that? I don't know. I would renew my contract with my wife because I really like being with my wife. But yeah, one of the things, if I ever get on any one of these shows and people are like, well, Rolo, what do you think the problem is between men and women these days? Why is there such a divide? It's not that. It's because we're trying to figure out how to do marriage in the 21st century. Well, with a lot of other things, we're trying to figure out how to do education too. But how do we do marriage now? And I've said this, is it open on my end and closed on her end? Is it closed on both of our ends? Is it open on all of our, do we have the destiny marriage, right? Is it open on all of our ends? Or is it closed on my end and open on her end, right? We're seriously having conversations about these templates of marriage and monogamy, whatever you want to, if I was to go and I was to talk to like a traditional conservative woman and say, closed on my end, closed on your end, does that sound like marriage? Yes. Open on my end, closed on your end, does that sound like marriage? No. Open on my end and open on your end, is that marriage? No. The only one that sounds like marriage to them is closed and closed. That's it. But we're still having conversations about it. Like that's the, like, then let's call it something else. 10-year renewal? Okay. A nuptial contract. We're not married. We have a nuptial contract. Blonde. Carl's show trash talked the red pill, then did a video where they told men how to pick up women. Yeah. Don't listen to those guys. They're wrong. But me, the fat kid from the UK with my chain axe in the background, I'm going to show you how to get the girls. It's just like the red pill advice. Never cry in front of women. Don't text back immediately. Create mystery. So all of the most obvious things then, right? All of the most obvious things that all those red pill guys have been talking about since 2002. Those things? Okay. What years did you live in HB? And why'd you leave HB? Huntington Beach? I never lived in Huntington Beach. I spent a lot of time in Huntington Beach when I was younger. I actually when I lived in Southern California, I lived in Pasadena. But on my summers, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I practically spent my whole summer at Huntington Beach. I'm thinking HB sounds like Huntington Beach to me. What years was I going there? 1983 to 1987. Even when I was like 18 or 19, I'd still go back there occasionally. I was in a band with a guy who I was a bass player and he was a guitar player, and we both surfed. So that was a bad combination. And we both like to smoke a lot of weed. And we would jump in his, he had a Volkswagen bus, of course. But in between practices and gigs, we would go down to Calabasas. We'd go take trips down south like that way. And we just hit beach after beach after beach and stuff. That was a lot of fun. But no, Huntington Beach, certainly 83 to 86. I hope that HB means that instead of hot bitch. A special shout out to Matt Walsh begging the Daily Wire to get out of his contract by speaking red pill truths. You might have that. I had not thought of that, sir. Well done. Well played. Well played. Yes. I don't know. That's a possibility. Well, we certainly know what happened with Candace. Red pill black. Yeah. Let's see. So let me see if I can get into a little bit more topical stuff here. One of the reasons I titled this is the red pill. Is it time for the red pill movement? Right. Well, I spent a lot, as you probably know, I spent a lot of time, and people in the chat were talking about this. I spent a lot of time emphasizing the point that the red pill itself, the red pill, is from my perspective and from a lot of other people's perspective, is a praxeology. Go look it up. I'm not going to give you a thesaurus. You guys can go look that up yourself. Praxeology, in a nutshell, is the science or the study of human behavior, in that human behavior has a function, a latent purpose to it. Okay, it's very simple, very straightforward. Yes, I'm aware that there is also two definitions of it. The first one is the classical Greek one, which is what I just described to you, the study of human behavior, in that it has a function, the purpose behind that behavior, right? Blame it on the behaviorist psychology that is Rollo Tomassi. Then there's, of course, the financial, the economic praxeology. I'm well aware of that, but there are actually two different definitions for that. So if you want to talk Mises or whatever, to please take that to another podcast. Okay. I don't know. You could take that to George, what George's channel? What the hell? George Soros. Take that to Jason Hartman, who, by the way, sent me a really great article that I kind of want to read a little bit. TradCon's off. Yeah, let's wait for the train to go.
Of course.
Okay. Tradcons often say women gatekeep sex, but men gatekeep relationships. They're not the only ones. You say women gatekeep both. I agree with you, but can you articulate more? Well, the thing is this is Briffelt's law. Okay, it's a variation of Briffelt's law, in that a relationship doesn't happen unless the female of the species. And by the way, when Briffelt was talking about this, he meant this in the animal kingdom too. The female of the species wants that to happen. So the sex part, women are going to be the gatekeepers of sex, but they are also technically the gatekeepers of commitment and the gatekeepers of a relationship. Okay, because if they're not into it, they're not down. You're still not in a relationship. You're not going to force them into a relationship. You see, the thing is I think a lot of people, like when people say, well, men are the gatekeepers of commitment. We decide who we get to commit to. Only if you have people to commit to. Okay, only if you're spinning plates and you go, I'm going to commit to this one and not these three other ones. Most guys don't even entertain that thought because they're too busy going one by one by one, because they think that's the right thing to do. And maybe for them it is. But I will tell you right now, and just for the record, I'm not the one who I was agreeing with Roosh V back in the day, because he's the one that proposed this. Because this has been going on, like the idea that like women gatekeep sex and men gatekeep the commitment or gatekeep the relationship that conversation has been being had since 2009, at least to my knowledge. Okay, so we've been talking about this for quite some time. So, and I think it's never been pronounced or more highlighted than it is today, because average women don't want to get with average men. Is that not gatekeeping commitment? If they don't want to marry you, or hell, we can listen to Megyn Kelly cry a fucking river about how guys don't want to get with high-powered boss babes, and they should be attracted to us. No, what she wants all men to be attracted to her professionalism and her motivation and her type A personality, and not her big boobs and her nice ass, right? That doesn't, like, remember when we talk about alpha fucks and beta bucks, okay? Provisioning, protection, and parental investment, and all of the things that go into maintaining that. So we're looking at resources, money in this case, resources, time, investment, not only just in a family investment, family commitments, but also emotional commitments. There's way more than just financial investments. There's emotional investments. There's familial investments. There's a lot of other ways that you can go about that. So, but all of those track on the beta buck side of hypergamy. Never do women want to talk about the alpha fuck side, right? Because they're all fat, according to Cappy, right? So it's never about the sex part. Even Tommy Lahren couldn't say that. And that would have been the one thing she probably could have said to Andrew Willson. Andrew's like, well, what do we get out of it? She's like, this fucking cooter. You get this magic pussy. She could have said that, but she didn't. And she was just like, because it would have been like, then it's all about like sex, right? And your only value is the holes that you have. Thank you, Patrice O'Neill. And so when you're looking at the very fact that nobody wants to talk, women don't want to talk about that, because they know that that's the thing that attracts men. That's what arouses men. Alpha fucks, beta bucks. Alpha fucks is a part of that equation. It's the other side of hypergamy. No one wants to talk about that. I will guarantee you this, for all the people who are now launching back into this discussion of the manosphere and the red pill and everything else, they will categorically ignore the arousal side. They'll categorically ignore the alpha fuck side and only focus on, well, we're not getting married. What's that? That's the beta buck side. That's the commitment side. Women are the gatekeepers of sex. Yeah, but they don't want to talk about it because they don't want to limit themselves to being just a series of holes. Thank you, Producer Neil. I should probably look this. Maybe Sam, can you look up that? I have an article. I have an essay. There's an essay I wrote about exactly this. And I think it was called it was called the Keymasters, Gatekeeper and Keymasters. If you can look that up for me and throw that and text me that, because I would love to throw that. I wrote a whole big essay on this at one point, and you could probably get a lot more out of that than this. Who's the one person you want to debate the most? I don't want to debate anybody because most people don't know what a debate is. I have an essay on my Substack called "The Death of Debate," and I go into the most people what they think is debate is not actually debate. It's argumentation is all it is. And I'm sorry, Andrew Willson. Andrew Willson and Rachel Willson seem to think that debate is about like personal attacks and destroying your opponent, right? It's not about that. It's the classic debate, the kind you learned in logic class with the Venn diagrams and everything. That's about getting closer to the truth. Now, most debaters want to, like, the debate used to be like the kind of debate that they used to have on the Roman Senate, right? Or they would have in Athenian Greece, Athenian Greece. Make sure I say that right. Or even if you look at thanks for that, Sammy. Even if you look at like how we do debate on the Congress floor right now, they'll say, okay, I cede my time to the gracious congressman from Tennessee, right? There's a certain amount of time for you to make your case. They get a counter argument for three minutes. You get a counter argument for 3 minutes. And then that's how what are the facts? What is the truth? It's not, are you an asshole or are you not an asshole? Are you on my team or are you not on my team? Put down the fucking donut or eat the fucking donut, right? It's not about personal attacks. It's not about like proving who's good and who's evil. That's all debate is on most shows. And hats off to Andrew Worski, who basically refined the art of the blood sport, or the YouTube blood sport, because that's what it really boils down to. I want truth. Like, if you want me to debate you, it's going to be a formal debate. It's going to be like, we have a lot. Here are the topics we're going to talk about. Here are the major issues. Here's the points. Blah blah blah. Come prepared. Great debate. I have time. I'm going to prepare for the debate. I'm going to go there and I'm going to kick ass. Right? That's not how it works. Like I can show you. Most recent example is me foolishly trying to debate that autistic kid was Alex from Playing with Fire. Okay. I knew, like, I did that because I did that as a favor for Mike, because Mike really wanted me to entertain him. And I knew going in, I said, okay, well, make sure I need some debate topics. If we're going to have a debate, I want to know what we're talking about so I can prepare for the fucking debate. What are we going to talk about? Israel versus Palestine? Not with this guy. No, all it was, he gave me a bunch of listed topics, and each one of these topics was all related back to, here's how Rollo lied about me. And that's all it is. And this is an autistic OCD kid who wanted to have some sort of like, comeuppance after 4 years. He'd been hanging on to this shit for 4 years. And I knew that. I said, this is not going to be a debate, Mike. I said, this is just going to be an inquisition, man. That's all this is. Is Rollo an asshole liar or is he not? That's all it is. So when it comes to debate, tell me what the subject is. Tell me how long I have to argue it. Show me what the formal debate is. Are we trying to find out whether I'm a dick or not? I'm out. Are we going to try to get to the truth about something? Yes. Okay, fine. I'll do it. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't really have anybody like on my hit list, if that's what you mean. Elite Chads are the gatekeepers of relationships. Well, yes, they could be, because all women want to get with them. So I will give you that, but sort of depends. Depends on, again, it's the context. Who's the one person you want to debate? Okay, I already got to you, Brian. I disagree. Monogamous males are an evolutionary rarity. If that were the case, we would not be here. There are men who are the sole gatekeepers of commitment. Monogamy is a social, not evolutionary creation. I see, a thing about monogamy is okay, I'm just going to leave it at this because it's easier to describe it in this way. There's a really great book, and it's called Promiscuity by, what's his name? Dr. Tim Burkhead. Tim Burkhead, Birkhead, Dr. Tim Burkhead. And he is not an evolutionary psychologist. He is an evolutionary biologist, and goes through the science, evolutionary biological science of monogamy and promiscuity, right? And cuckoldry too, by the way, in the animal kingdom, humans being part of that animal kingdom. And as a result, when going through various species, there are very few species on planet Earth that are truly mate for life. They're pair bonding. Well, yeah, There are very few species. And the reason for that is because promiscuity leads to more biodiversity. Okay. So cuckoldry, as much as we hate it, as much as we're like jealous, intrinsically suspicious of things, it's actually an evolutionary good that women are promiscuous, men are promiscuous, and we have jealousy instincts, right? Because we want to know that the baby is ours, because that's how endemic it is, right? But it's good for biodiversity, because what happens is then, like, if there is the problem is if you have like a homogeneous species, it tends to go extinct when environmental conditions change. So there's no mutations, whatever, right? It's like seeing these like deep sea sharks, right? That have they're like 200, 300 years old. Yeah, because their environment hasn't changed in 200 or 300 years, right? Well, when you have that kind of that biodiversity, that's great. But the problem is human beings, human babies have big heads. And human beings rely, I know this sounds a little wacky, but human beings actually rely on their intelligence to survive. And so what do you need when you have an intelligent species? You need big heads, and you have to be able to get those big heads out of their mothers' widened hips. And you have to have an incubator, and you have to have a uterus, and you have to have all this stuff that can create all of these special synapses and brain, to keep a human brain, little baby brain alive, right? And human babies require a lot of attention. They just can't fall out of their mom's uterus and just move on, right? Like, for instance, like when a horse, like a pony or a cow or something like that, as soon as, like, within half an hour of being born, it can get up and run and walk away, right? But not humans. Human babies don't do too well just laying there in the freaking grass, okay? So they require a lot of special attention so that you can nurture that brain into a full-grown adult, or at least a self-sufficiency. Like, to get a kid from like 0 to 7, you need mom and dad there, and that's why we need monogamy. So when people say, "Do you think that monogamy is? Do you think that promiscuity is human nature, or do you think monogamy is human nature?" I'm like, both, and both can be true at the same time. So, do we need monogamy for the survival of the species? Yes, we do. Do we need promiscuity for the well, we need it for biodiversity, that's for sure. And we have fail-safes and contingencies for both of them. And again, I'm just going to say this. Go get Tim Burkhead's book. It's called Promiscuity. It's one of the best books I've ever read. It would definitely be at the top of one of my reading list. Monogamy is most definitely not a social creation. It is an evolutionary adaptation. What it is. And by the way, you can have 4 wives and still be monogamous with all 4 of those wives. What if List thinks the revolution of men who can get sex will come? Using evidence comes from history. I don't think he accounts for modern technology. Well, nobody ever does. This is why I keep saying, like, whenever people say, "When's the pendulum going to swing back to the 1950s, Roll?" It's not. There is no pendulum. We only go forward. Would you like me to give you the story again about World War I? Here, I'll give it to you. Back in World War I, when what is it? Kaiser Wilhelm got killed by an assassin. I know what in the Prussian what is it? Austro-Hungarian times, right? I know. Anyways, when they knew that there was going to be some war, I have got young men signed up. They wanted to go to war. They were like all about shit. If you watch what is it? And They Will Not Grow Old. Have you seen that documentary? I think it was who's the guy that did Lord of the Rings? Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Watch that. They were hell yeah, right? The White Feather Society, also the show, right? But in the beginning, they wanted to go. They were all about it. They wanted to go and fight a war just like their granddad did or their fathers did, before them. And as soon as they met the first 50 caliber machine gun in the scene, forget the first battle's name. Once they met the first 50 caliber machine gun, that technological advancement, they didn't want to go out there anymore. They started digging trenches so that they could live, right? Because shit had changed. The pendulum didn't swing back to when dear old dad was riding in the cavalry with a fucking saber on the back of a horse. No, they were facing a 50 caliber machine gun and people were dying at an industrial rate. It's no pendulum. We only go forward. Do your best with what you know from the past and take that and use that as we go forward. That's my advice to you, young man. A happy man is a happy relationship. A happy woman is a miserable man. Patrice O'Neill. Yeah, Patrice was before his time. Carl Benjamin was part of the Gamergate fiasco. I'm well aware of that, which was the flashpoint of the Red Pill movement. That happened way after the Red Pill was established. As well as the MAGA too. There's a strong hypothesis indicating both as male response to feminism. Okay, we're going to talk about that too because I have that video of Sammy. Can you put the Keymasters in that link? Can you put that in the chat, please? Thank you. I'm going to talk about that actually. I will be getting back to this. Sammy, what are you doing to me, Sammy? Oh, the Keymasters is right there. I might read that later. We'll see. I don't know if I have enough time right now. I got to get to this video. For that, thank you, Zed, for your $1.99 contribution. The Manosphere MGTOW Red Pill is going mainstream, whether you like it or not. It's already been mainstream for quite some time. You do realize I answered this question back in March of 2021. The conservatives are afraid of it. Blows up. They might lose the beta males en masse. Remember the wife jack meme? Yes, I do. Thoughts on Andrew Tate right now? Where is he? Is he in Dubai? I wish I know he was like flooding my stream on Thursday or Friday, and I haven't heard hide nor hair of him. The last I heard, he was in Romania and then was planning on making a trip or taking a flight to Dubai. He gets to Dubai, you will never get him out of Dubai because they will not be able to extradite him. You want my thoughts on Andrew Tate? I think he is. I mean, the crimes are there. The people keep saying there's no evidence. There's no crimes committed. Well, the UK seems to think so. The United States seems to think so. And Romania has 49 counts against him right now. So there is still definitely, those lawsuits are still there. Whether or not he appears is anyone's guess, because if you want my actual opinion here, I think he will flee. He's a flight risk, but he will flee to Dubai if he's not already there. And he will stay there because Dubai is a non-extradition country, which is why they've been trying, Tristan and Andrew Tate have been establishing residency in Dubai since February of 2022. Right when, what else? What happened in February of 2022? What worldwide, international, global event occurred in February of 2022? Don't look it up. Russia invades the Ukraine. Right? Yes, you connected. Yeah, he'll go to. They'll fly. The flight risk. He'll fly to Dubai, and you probably won't hear from him for a long time. Although I think he won't stay out of the limelight. He'll definitely want to, broadcast and podcast or whatever from Dubai, but safe in the knowledge that he's not going to be extradited. I mean, unless the Dubai government changes their laws, but that was really the whole thing. I'll reiterate this one more time. I am Tate agnostic right now, and I think anybody with a fucking brain cell in their heads should be as well. So I don't care if this was my best friend. I don't care if this was my worst enemy, whatever. I want to know what the facts are, and I will pass judgment, or I will decide for myself what to think about what once all the evidence is presented, once all the cases there, everything else. Critical thinking skills are at a premium these days. So I think anybody should say, okay, let's just hear the case. Let's be neutral about this and say what's going on here. And let them have their piece and let the other people have. That's why we have trials. That's why we have the court system. That's why we have the legal system. I know it's not ideal. I know it's not perfect, but that's why it's there, at least in spirit. Do women comprehend male romanticism or not? No, it's expected. That's all. And my goodness, holy shit. I can't even believe you got this through. Holy mackerel. Recent DNA analyses, plural of analysis, indicate that you get marks for good spelling. indicate that only 15% of early human males successfully reproduced. That's funny because I've got even lower rates than that. This would not be possible with monogamous males. Monogamy serves no purpose for human males. Monogamous females, however, ensured continued protection and support of the male, which is exactly what I was saying, right? So there are the berry pickers and there are the alpha males, okay? So we have to let's look at primates for a minute. By the way, 15% seems pretty actually high for me. I know that what was it? 1 in 17 males reproduce. One male for every 17 females reproduced as far back as 8,000 years, which is right around the advent of agriculture. You're probably pulling from that data set. So 1 in 17. And then right now, I believe it's 1 in 7 because it's gone up since that time. So agriculture itself, human beings developing agriculture, sort of set humanity on a different course. Okay. So if you look at like the Old Testament times, if you look at like Father Abraham, like how many wives did he have, you know, or was Solomon had like 100 wives or concubines, whatever. We used to have like being in like if you look at the Bible, for example, I'm just going to use this because everybody has a common frame of reference.
700 wives.
700 wives. Solomon. Yeah.
300 concubines.
All right.
There you go. Solomon getting after it. So, but the thing is we still need berry picking males, right? So if you look at primate cultures where you have the beta males, you have one alpha and has a harem of fertile females. You still need the males, and you're still going to produce the males, but the males are there for babysitting. They're there for services rendered. They're there to pick nits off of the females. They're there to collect bananas and give them to the females. So you still need monogamy for reproduction. It's not just females that watched after them, right? I mean, if that were the case, then why would women select for protection, provisioning, and parental investment? Right? That's still half of hypergamy right there. So I understand the biological and the DNA, like the human genome stuff, you know, as far as the DNA analysis are concerned, ancient DNA analysis. We can, again, that's the data. That's good. But what can we interpret from that? How are we going to interpret that? Monogamy might not serve, well, so here's the thing. Monogamy would serve a purpose for beta males, not for alpha males. Alpha males, like that, there's, what is it called? Strategic pluralism theory. This is by Gangstad. I'm gonna really butcher this, so I apologize in advance. For men, for human males, primates even, who have access to a lot of sex, the guys who fuck, right? If you have guys who fuck and you have guys who don't fuck, it's in guys who don't fuck their best interest to pursue monogamy. So they put all of their eggs in one basket, right? They want to so it's for them to invest themselves, their time, their energy, their effort, calories, whatever else into one female. That works for them because it means that they're going to reproduce. They wouldn't reproduce at all. Whereas if there is the alpha males can spread the seed, right? So the guys who fuck tend to want to spread the seed. And you would definitely have a point there saying, well, women are promiscuous. And so therefore they want to, again, it's cuckoldry. As I said, just go read fucking Tim Burkhead's Promiscuity, right? Promiscuity works for, well, women, and it works for guys who fuck. And so, but does that mean that monogamy is something that's monogamy is a societal thing? I don't think so. I think it's an evolutionary adaptation for beta males. It's because otherwise they wouldn't reproduce at all. They're still reproducing, not at the same numbers as alpha males. And if you look at the human genome remember, this is, you're looking at early human males, early as in 8,000 years ago. I have read that article as well. And if you read the end part of that article, just to give you a little bit of hope, they also point out that in modern times, or like after the advent of agriculture, the birth rate birth rate to men is 1 in 7. Why is that? Well, because first of all, warfare became a lot more efficient. Okay, you got to remember, you got to factor warfare into that as well. So if there's 1 man for every 17, it might be he's the only one that's available. Why is it that Muslim cultures allow a man to have up to 4 wives, and only if he can support them, right? Thank you, Abu American, for clearing me up on that. Because we want more Muslims, right? We want more, and what happens is when the Muslims go to war and fewer men come back from war than went out, that's going to offset that birth rate. So again, is it the monogamy? Is it the promiscuity? I mean, in a vacuum, you'd be right, but we're not in a vacuum. But thank you for that. That's actually a pretty good one. Coolidge effect. Men are polygamous and want variety. Well, yeah, of course, because they want to spread the seed. Again, strategic pluralism theory. If you have access to a lot of fertile females and you can fuck, and you're a guy that fucks, then yeah, it works in your favor. If you're not, well, monogamy works in your favor, or better ways. I also point this out. I've said this on a couple of occasions, like when this is a modern variation of this is retroactive cuckoldry. It's the single mom effect. So if you can convince a society of men that it's a noble endeavor, or God wants you to marry the single mom or the widower, in this case, it could be the widower, right? But pick up the slack for if God wants you, however you want to arrange this, wants you to assume the responsibilities, the parental investment responsibilities for another man's child to your own detriment. Because remember, you also have that's resource expenditure right there. At the expense of you reproducing yourself. If you can do, that's a biological jackpot for women. And this is why I mean, maybe Andrew Wilson's going to call me out on this one, but this is why like guys like Wes Watson get really upset when I say that's basically retroactive cuckold. You're a cuckold. Well, I'm not cuckold. I don't sit in a seat. I don't watch other guys fuck my wife. No, you don't. But some other dude did, and you're taking on the responsibility of that other guy. Whether or not that's noble or that's a good, I'm not going to make a judgment call. But the end result is you are investing in another man's progeny. So that's like that's the end result, the effect of cuckoldry. Whether it happened before or she tricked you into thinking that the baby is yours, like you're a cuck. That's how it works. That's what a cuck does. Oh, like I think too many people have been watching too much fucking porn. I'm not a cuck. I've never been in a cuck chair in a hotel somewhere. That's not what I'm talking about. but that's oddly specific. Yes. Betas have to pretend they want monogamy. No, they want monogamy because it's a mating strategy. They want monogamy because put it this way, if you're a beta guy and you don't have you're not a natural, right? If you don't have access to a lot of fertile females, but you got one, like when we talk about, God, Jesus Christ, dude, this is so remedial. Okay. like if you got a guy who is, let's just say on the 1 to 10 scale, he's a 7 and the girl's a 7. Women don't want to get with the 7. They want to get with the guy who is an 8. They think they deserve the 10, but the 8 will do, right? But if all she can get and all he can get is another 7, that 7 has to have some value added. He's got to be rich. He's got to come from a good place. He's got to have prestige. He's got to have status. He's got to have something. He's got to be funny. He's got to have something that offsets that natural imbalance, right? So that value added might be, hey, baby, I would never do you wrong. I'll stay with you for the rest of my life till death do us part, in sickness and in health. For richer and for poor, I'm gonna be with you whether or not you have a goiter on your neck or not, right? I'm gonna get sick and I'll be here, right? Monogamy in that case is still a mating strategy, is still an adaptation. But the very fact is the fact still remains: you've got a guy who fucks and a guy who doesn't fuck. So if a guy who fucks is a 10 and the 7 wants to get with the 10, but she knows she never will, and she might settle for another 7, that guy's got to have at least some more value added, some extrinsic, there it is. That's the word I was struggling with. Some extrinsic value And that value might be monogamy. And cuckoldry, by the way, like if you're not the stepdad, you're the dad who stepped up. That's a mating strategy in the 20th and 21st century. Don't worry, girl. I can't fuck. So I need to have value added. My value added might be, I'll take care of your kids too. And then if I take care of your kids, maybe you'll have sex with me and you'll have one of my kids. If that's the only way you're going to reproduce, that seems like a whole lot better than not reproducing at all. So it just comes down to like very basic math. As a guy who likes economics, I wonder where everything is going. Modern welfare states can't survive with low birth rates and debt we can't pay back. Well, I think one of the things that's happening right now is it time for a red pill movement, right? That's my title for today's show. I've been of the opinion that we should keep the red pill amoral, apolitical, a-religious, a-ideological, whatever. It needs to remain to the best of our ability. And yes, I understand that human bias is always going to filter in some way, shape, or form. That doesn't mean we don't take a good fucking stab at it. It needs to remain as neutral as possible. And I understand this, but I'm going to tell you right now, the more mainstream it goes and the more people want to turn it into a movement, fuck it. Why not? Let's go. You want a cult? I'll be your fucking cult leader. Is that what you want?
Say my name.
Is that what you really want? Because that's where the shit is going right now. Oh, he's the godfather of the manosphere. He's an influencer. I have avoided that for as long as I possibly can. And I'll tell you right now, if I don't do it, other people will. I'm not saying I'm going to do it. I'm going to start my own. I'm going to start the cult of Tomasi. Yeah. No, but I'm at the point right now where I got to listen to Carl fucking Benjamin or fucking Matt Walsh butcher the manosphere and butcher these things like basic shit. Like I remember, I know what it was. I was watching Adolescence, and that one kid was on there, and he said something like, "Well, everybody knows that 80% of men are, or 20% of men are fucking 80% of women." Like this 80-20 rule, and it's like completely, absolutely distorted, corrupted. And I have said this. I don't know how many different ways I can say the same fucking thing. Right? It's 80-20, 4.5%. Right? And I can, it's Dr. David Buss, and I can go through all this stuff. Nobody cares. Certainly not the idiot. Certainly not Brad fucking Pitt and the rest of these idiots who are producing Adolescence and probably the next one that's coming in after that one. Oh, incels. Incels don't give two flying fucks about the 80-20 rule. Okay, they're the guys who don't fuck. They're the guys who are trying to figure out how I can do value added so that they can fuck, and then get frustrated that they can't figure it out. Right? I'm a chin cell. I'm a vol cell. I'm a height cell. I'm a height mogging. Everything's cell or mog. Like, and you know where mogging came from? It's from a-mogging, right? And that was a pickup artist term. And they just took that and just it's like I've said this before. It's like the telephone game, like when you're a kid, right? And you tell one kid, you sit in a circle of 10 kids, right? And you tell one kid like a secret, or you tell him like some little bit of data, and he has to tell that to the next kid, just whispering, right? And then that kid tells the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, until you get to the 10th, and you get to the 10th kid, and the 10th kid's like, yeah, it was dinosaurs and aliens that fell out of the sky. Like, it's completely different from what you said. And that's meant to teach you a lesson that hearsay and rumors and everything else, and this is how this happens. It's so simple that 10 children can fucking do it, right? That's where we are online right now with the red pill. You guys, I'm the guy that started. I'm the one that whispers in the kids' ear, like, "Here, red pill, hypergamy, value added, and it goes around the 10 kids, and one kid says, 80-20 rules this, right? You're the 10th kid. Stop being the 10th fucking kid. Okay, like go to the source. And we're at a point right now where people are saying, "Well, we need a red pill movement, red pill this." I'm like, well. In a sense, I'm kind of already doing that with Reignite right now. And the reason why, what inspired me is this: is I was talking to Joe Marron about doing our program and everything else. And we kind of get into the sort of the mission statement, and like, why are we doing what we're doing? Because I'm big on that. I want to know that we're operating from the same principle. Do we want to make money? Yeah, of course we do. We got to keep it afloat. But I want to make money for the right reasons. I think that's when you have a balance between doing something, making something, creating a product, or creating creating something, your art, and you want to make money off of it. Yes, but if you're doing it for the right reason, that makes it even that much better. Grifters are the guys who like do it for they're in it for is the money, and they'll change their story and be a red pill adjacent and then come right back to it, right? I've never been red pill adjacent. I've had the most consistent voice in the Manosphere, and it's the most consistent voice in the red pill for 23 years now. I haven't changed my tune, but I'm having this conversation with Joe Marin. Oh, let me take this off here real quick. And we're seeing guys. I mean, I think we're having this conversation now because I'm seeing more and more guys join up. If you want to join, you'll find the link in there. It's reignitealpha.com. But we have so many guys coming into the group right now who are just basically trying to unfuck their lives, and they need a tribe, and because we have become so atomized as men that men don't even know how to interrelate. Fuck women. We don't know how to interrelate with men. We don't know how to have relationships with men, have conversations with men. There are so many guys that don't know, like, when somebody is giving them shit and somebody is serious with them, right? They don't know if they're being hazed. They don't know if they're being bullied. Like, hey, what's up, man? Like, you're ribbing somebody like that. Like, hey, look, how men relate with other men. Like, men insult each other, and that's a form of affection, by the way. Like, me and Ryan and Aaron say, like, come hang out with me, Ryan and Aaron, and you'll get an idea. Aaron Clary is homosexual. Like, I can. He's like, yeah, fuck you. Yeah. So. But the thing is there's so many guys that take everything so goddamn literally that they can't understand how to interrelate with other guys. And that's a problem. When we talk about, oh, well, we have this loneliness epidemic of guys. Yeah, well, it's not because they're like, I mean, they're lonely because they want to get laid and they want to be, whatever, but it's not even like best friends or anything like that because they just don't interrelate. They don't have an occasion to interrelate with other guys. And so we're seeing this influx of men coming into the program right now who need help. And that's what I did it for. That's what me and Joe started this whole thing for, because there's so many guys who were coming out of bad divorces, or maybe they were just like sort of like failures to launch. Like these guys, the younger guys are always sort of the purposeless ones. They've never been married. They didn't go through a divorce, but they're still kind of in the same boat as the guys who did go through that divorce. And now they're trying to reintegrate themselves back in the sexual marketplace, or just try to relearn like social skills that have either atrophied or they never learned in the first place. So we're trying to, okay, here's your style. Here's how you can, go to the gym, get your money on point, all this other stuff. That's, these are just some basic shit, right? We have other stuff that's a little bit more advanced. We're going to teach you technical skills as well. But the thing is there's such an influx of these guys. This can't be just some sort of isolated phenomenon. This is a worldwide thing. When we talk about the Manosphere, we talk about the red pill. It's not just the United States or the UK. I have people in Kenya. Shout out to my brothers in Kenya. I have so many people. I don't know how that happened. But they call me Umzi. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I have so many people in Turkey who want me to come and make a trip out and go see Dr. O's, right? Dr. Red Pill, whatever. So I forget what he's calling himself now. Very good friend of mine. We've got Ryan who wants to expatriate from Canada, for crying out loud, right? I've got people in Brazil and other places as well. There's a lot of people all over the world that are. Did you know that I have Korean translations of the book? South Korea is facing like a fertility crisis because of exactly the same shit. They're ahead of the curve when it comes to Western countries, right? I have a translation in German. I have a translation in Spanish. I have a translation in Polish. And I have a translation in Korean. I'm working on French. I'm working on some other ones right now too. So, by the way, if you're a translator, I think Kenyans want me to do it in Swahili. I don't know if I can do that. But it's a worldwide thing. It's not just isolated to Western cultures. And I think finally, mainstream culture is waking up to this shit, and they want to call it a movement. So be it. Let's call it a movement, but let's make sure it's done for the right fucking reasons. as I was saying before, like when I went on I did that panel show with Donovan Sharp and the rest of these guys. I said, I am there whenever you guys want to do with this Avengers Assemble thing. I'm there. Call me and I'll be there. Just put the bat signal in the air and all right, let's go here. Kyle, come on, my sidekick. Robin, let's go. I'm there, but I just want to make sure that we're doing it for the right reasons. So if you're going to have a movement, or you're going to say, okay, these are the best practices. Right? I'm working on this book, Reignite. The book is going to be called Reignite. And it's, I'll let you in on a little secret. It's meant to be practical. It's meant to be useful. It's meant to take this actionable information and put it into action. Here's a few ideas. Here's some things you ought to do. Here's some things you ought to consider. I'll say, as I said before, when it comes to my workout, when it comes to my marriage, when it comes to like my education, or when it comes to whatever else, I know what works for me. Okay, here's what worked for me. That doesn't mean it's necessarily going to work for you, but maybe you try a variation of it. So does it have to be a movement? Does it have to be an ideology? Does it have to be a cult? No, not necessarily. But if we don't do it, someone else will, and they'll fuck it up. They will fuck it up. Trust me, they will fuck it up. One of the reasons why I went on Dr. Phil, because people say, I thought you'd never go on Dr. Phil. You swore off Dr. Phil. I didn't swear off Dr. Phil. I just didn't want to go do it with Tommy Lahren in 2020 for free.
For free.
They didn't even want to pay my fucking, they didn't want to pay my flight. And this was like the middle of COVID too. They didn't want to pay my flight or my hotel or anything. I guess it was too much of a pain in the ass. I'm like, you're Dr. Phil, man. Do you not have money? But they did in the second time. And so people kept thinking that I would never do it. And I'm to say I would never do it. I just didn't want to do it with back then. But the reason why I went in there, people go, you're going to get ambushed, right? They're going to try to attack you from all sides. I knew damn shit. You didn't even tell me that. I knew that. But I thought about this and I said, well, either I know my shit or I don't. Either I can go into the lion's den and kick ass, or I can't. And if I don't, somebody who is vastly underqualified is going to go there and represent the red pill, and they're going to fuck it up, Pearl. They're going to fuck it up. So when I'm looking at like helping guys out, and I'm looking at making this stuff useful to people, I want them to know that at least somebody is doing this for the right reasons. And that doesn't mean that everybody is doing it for the wrong reasons, not at all. But what I'm saying is like, that's my mentality in all this. So when people say, hey, do you want to go and do an interview with Piers Morgan? If I do, it will be because I want to go there and be a good representative of the red pill. I want to be a good representative of what I know for the last 23 years. People go, well, that sounds like a movement. But okay, well, so be it. I can't avoid that anymore. I can't avoid being an influencer. People are just going to call me that anyway. They're already calling me that. Shit, I got that. What was it? I forget who was the article that was written about me and they mentioned me and Myron by name. And I want to say it was in The Guardian. And they were talking about the red pill and the manosphere, right? They don't even know that there's a distinction between the red pill and the manosphere. Right? And they described me as the online advice guru or something who is the owner or the proprietor of The Rational Male. They didn't even say it was a YouTube channel. They just says The Rational Male. Right? Like, how inaccurate can you possibly get? And I'm just like, all right, because that's what they're going to expect of me. That's what they're going to expect of Myron. That's what they're going to expect of you. If you watch this show and people ask you, hey, Rational Trucker, what's the red pill? I would hope you would have watched enough pod classes here that you could more or less accurately describe it. I know like Jim Sexton is a pretty good representative of the red pill, and he doesn't get asked this all that often because he's usually talking about divorce and stuff like that. But if somebody said, hey, what do you think of the red pill? What do you think of this Manosphere stuff? He would be able to tell you because he has a broad enough depth of experience with it that I would feel confident he could do that. Certainly Myron could. Myron, I think, is probably one of the best representatives of the Manosphere there is. Fresh, he's a close second, but not quite. And there's a few other people. Brian Stone, I would definitely say he's definitely got his shit together. He just doesn't do public that much. Aaron Clary, they'd be able to tell you. As a guy who likes economics, I wonder if everything's okay. I already talked to you. Women love more when they see that there are chicks that are willing to take her place at my side immediately. Patrice O'Neill, aka Passive Dread, yes. Thoughts on Genghis Khan, his female conquest? Really? I am all for Genghis Khan. You know, it's funny is Genghis Khan, what was it? Genghis Khan, alpha male, by the way, probably was on a lot of people's shit list back in his time, but definitely alpha male. What was it when they were doing the genetics tests? They're saying like 1 in every 200 people in planet Earth is a direct descendant of Genghis.
Yeah, it's like a percentage. He has a percentage.
Yeah. Genghis Khan was a guy who fucked. The girls might not have liked it or appreciated it, but he was definitely a guy who fucked. So that's so funny. Marriage Call MCD. Don't make a beta's monogamy a virtue. It's a necessity. Yeah, it's true. Tomasi Town Kool-Aid win. I don't know. I should make it. I want to make Tomasi brand rum. Or no, whiskey. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm the only one who could do it too. I know everything I know all the rules. If you are an incel, then be proud. Be a proud incel. Own it. Okay. At least identify. And then see, it's one thing if you're an incel and you identify as an incel. It's another thing to be an incel and then like get the fuck out of it. Like be working to like not like get laid, please. There's no such thing as an involuntary celibate. Certainly not in the state of Nevada. Prostitution is legal here. And if you fly to Nevada and you are an incel, and you bring me $500, I will meet you in Reno, Nevada, and I will take you to Mound House, Nevada, and we will go to the Moonlight Bunny Ranch, and you will no longer be involuntarily celibate. I will teach you whorehouse game, brothel game. I bet I could sell that course. I bet I could sell that course like fucking crazy. What do we got here? Are married and childless women Chad cells? Why the fuck does everything have to be a cell? Dubai too. Love you, Rolo. Let them have it, bro. I'll do my best. And how much do you attribute the loss of masculinity in the world today to the last century of world proxy wars putting the manliest of us into the dirt? You mean like the death of the samurai in Japan? Yeah, I've heard that. The logic is this, is like the reason why the birth rate in Japan is so low, or the reason why Japan became such a sort of went from a very warlike country to a very pansy country, is because all the real men got killed in the war and did not pass on those genes. I can go for another 30?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Good. In that case, I will do this video really quickly. Which one was I going to do? Let's do. God, Scott Galloway was on The View. Like, I'm not even going to show it. I don't even want to see it. Oh, this was interesting. So this was I'll just play this real quick. You tell me what you think.
This is not toxic. And neither is this. Or this. Or this.
My 8-year-old daughter knows it's inappropriate, and yet y'all sit there silent.
This is not toxic. This is necessary. And you are not toxic. We think you're essential. You're indispensable to a healthy society, to creating strong families, chivalrous sons, and fearless daughters. So, here's to masculinity. Here's to XY.
XY is an athletics brand, just so you guys know. If you don't think that the whole positive masculinity thing as a grift isn't a thing, I think you just got to pay more attention. Now, remember, this is nothing. I don't disagree with anything that happened in this video, right? I think it's very contrived, but the problem is that it only focuses on one side of masculinity. So if you look at those guys who are doing like those, I'm sure you've seen these videos of these guys who will be at very high heights and they'll like jump from like place to place to place. Or you've probably seen them where they jump off a bridge and they like go way, tumbling down like hundreds of feet into the water. Or that one Viking guy who gets like he's like in the icy 2 axes, like and he goes right into the wall, like that kind. That's masculinity too. Taking risks, stupid, dumb fuck risks, driving too fast in your Camaro, that's masculinity too. Riding a motorcycle, riding all that stuff, fighting, that's masculinity too. Fucking, that's masculinity too. And the problem is that when you what my concern, here's why I brought this, I showed you this commercial, is, as I said before, the masculinity that causes a guy to run into a burning building and save a baby, a firefighter runs into a burning building and saves a baby, that's the same masculinity that the guy who jumped off the bridge into the hundreds of feet below, into the river below. It's the same thing. It's just applied differently. But one is toxic. One is, this is why women have longer lives. The other one is, oh, this is pro-social. Well, when the floodwaters rise, we need men. One is, we need men because they're a great utility. You're a servant. You're a tool. We need this. Oh, break up a fight? How awesome would that be? Well, the same thing is like when you see some kid head stomp some other kid, that's masculinity. Masculinity is violent. Masculinity sometimes is ugly. You got to take the ugly with the good. Now, hopefully, you're cultivating and you're teaching and you're doing all this stuff that redirects that masculine energy to constructive rather than destructive pursuits. But it doesn't mean that those destructive pursuits aren't there as well. And that's the problem that everyone has. So when we're talking about toxic masculinity, right now, I don't even know why we call it toxic masculinity, because for the most part, especially if you're one of these dumb fucks putting out or being a producer of adolescence, masculinity is just toxic. Everything. There is no such thing as non-toxic masculinity. Because eventually what happens is, in a gynocentric society, in a gynocentric social order, to be a more perfected, to be human at all, is to be female. That's what you want to know what happened with the late 60s, early 70s feminists, the militant feminists of Betty Friedan, Gloria Steinem and stuff like that, and all the luminaries of that time, was we need, here, this is, and I'm paraphrasing again, but to get equality, we need to actively disadvantage men. That was it was a zero-sum game. Sorry, Richard Reeves, but that's the way it started, and that's the way it's got to end. And everybody keeps saying, well, maybe we can find some way that we, it doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. We can advantage men and we don't have to disadvantage women. It doesn't matter, because in a gynocentric social order, if you say women ought to do X, and this is exactly what got Matt Walsh all in hot water with fucking with Megyn Kelly, is because he was saying, well, women need to have a gentle soul or whatever religion. They need to have a blessed day, namaste, right? They need to have some sort of like feminine qualities to them, right? Women don't hear quiet soul, quiet spirit. They don't hear, they don't hear classic femininity in the words of a man, Matt Walsh. You know what they hear? They hear Matt Walsh advocating for Gilead, the fantasy setting for The Handmaid's Tale. He thinks we should all go and wear red frocks and white nun hats or something like that. They will take it to the most absurd degree that they possibly can, because that's where we're at. Men must be actively disadvantaged to have any kind of equality. So when I hear like Matt or any of the other guys to talk about like, oh, or we'll have even Scott Galloway will say something like this. Oh, they think that they're feminists, and so feminists think we live in some sort of tyrannical patriarchy. No, they don't. Patriarchy's dead. It died in the fucking 60s, man. It died. Patriarchy has died a very slow death from the time hormonal birth control was invented and the sexual revolution started. Patriarchy was dead by the 90s, man. But we still cling to the idea that endemic sexism is still a problem, and patriarchy this and patriarchy that. Bullshit. You've had 60, 65 some odd years to make that case, and I still haven't heard a valid one in a long time. Oh, well, there's still more women or still more men in Congress than there are women. Again, because the belief is not in patriarchy. The belief is, for there to be equality, we must actively disadvantage men. That's what it comes down to. There are no waves of feminism. There never have been. There's only been one feminism, and that has been a supremacism movement from the very beginning, from 1848 at Seneca Falls. It's just been interrupted by wars and social unrest and technological inventions and everything else. It's this Betty Friedan and Gloria Steinem are following in the footsteps of everybody who was at the Seneca Falls Convention. Exactly the same shit. It's just been broken up by historical events. That's all. There are no first waves. Oh, well, the suffragettes were great. No, they were terrorists. They were considered terrorists back then. Second wave, third wave, whatever the hell you want to call it. Oh, now they want to be men. No. People, I love it when people I have this. People think that this is my saying. It's not. It's actually Gloria Steinem when I say, women are becoming the men that they wanted to marry. That's Gloria Steinem. That's not Rollo Tomassi. That was 1970. And we're still talking about it today. We haven't moved on. Feminism is a dead meme. Equality between parity between the sexes is a dead meme, because we know enough about evolutionary psychology and evolutionary biology right now to know that those social movements and those psychologies and that sort of parasocial order is all bullshit. The blank slate, bullshit. Social constructionism, well, guess what? Anything social is downstream from biology. Social constructionism, bullshit. Egalitarianism, well, we know that whenever you put women, how do women organize society? With communitarianism, just like they would do in a hunter-gatherer tribe. The women all are the berry pickers, and they stay in their circle, and men go out and they have hierarchies. Men are hierarchical, women govern in the round. What happens when you put women into positions of power? They go and they try to govern in the round. Women will trade liberty for security because they are the vulnerable sex. Who's going to provide the security? Men. That's who's going to supply it for. So egalitarianism, dead meme. And last but not least, emotionalism, also dead meme. Is no way to organize a society. A rational, empirical society that relies on data and relies on reason is always going to outperform the one that's like, oh, follow your heart, it'll never fail you. So those four pillars of leftist liberalism, social constructionism, the blank slate, emotionalism, and egalitarianism. Take any social issue of our time right now, and I will point out which one of those pillars it's based on. Knock that pillar out, and the whole thing falls apart. Got to go back to where the source is. When you knock those things out, then suddenly the hierarchical, empirical way of men organizing society becomes a lot more efficient. But God forbid Rollo Tomassi or some man bring that up. I'm sure at some point in history, there'll be some chick who's going to see this and she's going to repeat verbatim what I just said. And everybody go, yeah, that sounds like we should do that. Man says it. You want the Handmaid's Tale. Is that what you're steering us towards? A Handmaid's Tale. Nietzsche foresaw female power would force a reckoning. Red pill is that to me. But how do we get women to even show up to the negotiation table? You don't. You wait it. This is a generational issue. Teach your children well. I covered this in my third book, Positive Masculinity, available at Amazon. Go get it today. Where I was talking about raising your children. And the first thing I talk about, the very 2/3 of the book, the beginning to about 2/3 of the way through, is all dedicated to red pill parenting, for lack of a better word. And the first part of that section is about what you're up against. Who is going to teach your kids? Because if it isn't you, it's going to be the state, or it's going to be a social order. If it isn't you, it's going to be pop culture. If it isn't you, it's going to be Jungian psychology. If it isn't you, it's going to be something else. So that's why, when people say, well, you need to be a present parent. No, you need to be an active fucking parent. It's one thing to go and make sure that you're at every, your kids, little league baseball games. That you're participating, right? It's another thing to go, here, I'm going to teach you how to pitch. Here, I'm going to teach you how to bat. That's active parenting. So fuck that just being present. You have to be active and you have to be there, because if you don't, somebody else will. Same thing with the red pill. If I don't do it, somebody else will. So are you something's got to change, man. Something's got to change. What better place than here What better time than now? Kyle. I think it's for you. Kyle 2020. Why does everything have to be a cell? Celibacy? Because everything's celibate. Because almost nobody fucks anymore. Yeah. YouTube doesn't allow the F word in the super chats. Really? Yeah, I guess it wouldn't. I'd say, would you like to rephrase that? No, but you're going to make me. Oh, man. Oh, hey, Aaron Clary just decided to text me. Dumb question, but since writing and podcasting, do other people's conversations bore you? I'm so glad I read that out live. I'll answer that. What should I say back? Hey, tell me what I should say back. Okay. Here we go. There should be an equivalent femininity video. Okay. Should there? I don't think there should. What you mean, femininity video? As oh, you mean it was to adolescents? I'm not sure where you're going with that. Clarify that for me, brother man. Hey Rollo, I'm a wannabe author. Well, imagine that. I just got the thing from Aaron. I want to be I'm a wannabe author from the end of yesterday's show. I want to see if you can expand on your philosophy for writing that you spoke of. Well, since we're towards the end of the show, I think I can do something. My philosophy for writing. Do it. That's why here's my philosophy. Never ease up on your focus. It's too easy not to. I think most people, when they're like, most people could be very good writers. They get easily distracted. They get a good start. They get a good head of steam going, and then they don't finish it. I forget the guy's name. There was an author who did a masterclass videos, and I watched this, and I can't remember the dude's name, but like I would very much. I don't know how like some guys are as prolific a writer as they are. If you look at like James Patterson, holy fuck, what's his library like, right? Michael Crichton, I would aspire to be like Michael Crichton as a writer, at least as being like production. Got to remember, there's like what was it? Ryan was saying yesterday. If you're going to be a sci-fi writer, don't worry about writing a good sci-fi thing. You have to focus on marketing. Like what do people want to see, want to hear? I told Brian this, and I think this is really kind of what inspired him to do the Dog Walker or whatever his latest is. I said at one point that we need red pill writers, but we can't be like too obvious. It can't be people, oh, this is red pill, because then it's contrived. But we need to write characters like Han Solo or Captain Kirk, right? I'm afraid there's not enough people. There's going to be no one left to actually write those characters anymore after a while. Like the happy-go-lucky scoundrel, right? Or the guy who goes, he's very red pill, very masculine roles. Because it used to be that's all there was. In Pulp Fiction, that's all there was, right? And a lot, like if you look at like even some of the good old movies from like the classic era, right? The Maltese Falcon, right? You're looking at Cary Grant. You're looking at, my movie and story and book knowledge is 1968 and forward, right? But I do like Alfred Hitchcock movies. I do like, trying to think what else. I maybe you know this, maybe you don't. I have 2 degrees. One is in I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and I have a Bachelor in behavioral psychology. So my Bachelor of Fine Arts, I had to take film class for that. I had to take art history for that as well. And I remember some of the older films that we had to watch, and looking at the characters. And even back then, we're talking about like the mid 2000s when I graduated. Making comparisons to characters that were in the mid 90s or like, or were available. Everything has to be a strong, independent woman right now. They all have to be Ellen Ripley from Alien, right? And I think we have enough of that now. I think it would be novel for people would certainly think it was novel if we wrote characters that were more red pill oriented. And I'm only using red pill because nobody was thinking this, like, when Indiana Jones was being written, nobody thought, hey, I'm gonna write this guy and he's gonna be this, maverick, masculine guy. Like it was just I'm gonna tell a good story. I just want a good plot. As far as writing is concerned, best practices for writing is to establish a place for it first. I don't care if that's in where your washer and your dryer are, in your laundry room. Establish a place where you have minimal distractions. Turn off your fucking phone. If you have a laptop, make sure that you don't go on Twitter, don't go on Instagram, don't do like I do. I have a lot of like as being me, as an influencer or whatever you want to call me, as a podcaster. There's Rollo Tomasi, the podcaster. There's Rollo Tomasi, the guy on Instagram, and then there's Rollo Tomasi, the author. And I have right now, I really have to focus on being Rollo Tomasi, the author, because I'm in the middle of a book right now. And so when I'm in that role, when I'm in that persona, I have to turn everything off. That means all those other guys have to go away for a while. So I'm not worried about pictures. I'm not worried about videos. I'm not worried about promotion. But I have to work on being creative. And the creative process does not include posting pithy things on Twitter. The creative process exists outside of that. It's ideation plus action is what it is. And I think a lot of people just don't really understand the mental acuity it takes to focus on something creative for a long time. That's why people still wonder why I'm in a band right now. Aren't you old? When are you going to give it up, man? You're a failed musician. No, there's no such thing as a failed musician or a failed artist for that matter. To do it is to succeed. Okay. I'd like to see you guys fucking play the shit that I do. But I do those things and I lose money. In fact, I was just talking to the guys. I'm setting up our practice for Tuesday for rehearsal right now. I lose money. I spend money on my band. Would you like one of these? Please help me. I've got a Jinx t-shirt. It's you can get the merchandise. It's in the link is in the description. But I do merchandise for Access Vegas. I do it for my band. I'm going to have stuff out for the Rational Male pretty soon. And other things too. Like I did it for Trial of Ascension too. But there's the creative process, and then the creative process is really this. It's ideation and action. Those are the two things that you need to create something, to produce something. You have to have perseverance. You've got to be able to mentally focus on something. And the reason why I brought up music is because there are very few things in the world right now that you can't multitask. Right. When I'm painting miniatures, like if I'm doing like models for Warhammer, I've always got a book. I've got like an audible going on, or I'm watching something on. Like I got a TV in front of my desk, I'm painting. I'm like looking up and stuff. Or if I'm drawing, or if I'm doing something like sort of like graphically creative or something like that, I got stuff. I have music going on. I've got other shit that's sort of going on, and that helps me a bit. But when I'm playing music, that's all I can fucking do. If I have to learn something, I have to just focus on one thing. And if you are like martial arts will do that for you too. You have to focus on what it is that you're doing to maintain solitary focus on something without multitasking, without having distractions is a rarity today. So that's why I am okay with spending money on my band. That's why I like performing too, obviously, but it helps keep me fucking sane because I got a million things I'm thinking about. I got let's see. I've got Sam Bada, I've got Aaron, I've got Kyle in my and I've got Mike Sartain in my text right now while I'm doing the show, while I'm concentrating on talking to you guys and trying to stay and not lose my train of thought. Having something that makes you like focus on something to the exception and exclusion of all other things is hard to do today. It didn't used to be. But now it is because we're constantly bombarded with so much stimuli. We're overstimulated. Like one of the reasons I think, like if you look at like thumbnails, like my thumbnail for this one, or if you look at thumbnails in general on YouTube right now, there's a template. It's like stupid face one where that kind of stuff. Like I'm shocked. No, you're not. You're just doing that for the camera so you can have these to put on a thumbnail. But there's the idea is that if you show shock, if you show the whites of the eyes, whatever else, people will go, whoa, what's he looking at? Right. Is there danger, Will Robinson? But the thing is like if you look at like thumbnails, like seriously, go when you're done with this video, scroll through your Instagram, or not, well, your Instagram feed too, but look through YouTube. Or when you're looking for a movie on Netflix, hey, what do I want to watch? If you're looking through the thumbnails through there, look at how they are all similar in that they always put a person's face on there. That's where that came from, by the way. But it's that sensory overload. And I used to have this theory because I used to work in casino marketing. I used to work at I worked at lots of different casinos, but I was like the art director, graphic designer, then art director after a while. If you go to a casino floor, you can go to anyone here in Vegas, you go to a casino floor and you're bombarded with a sensory overload. It's like wheel of fortune or buffalo. You know what I mean? And it's nothing but lights and sound and smell, and it's just like you walk into Mandalay Bay, you walk into Red Rock, you walk into any of those places, you're hit with just this sensory overload, multimedia, right? And the only way you can stand out on a casino floor is if you have three things. You have tits, you have fire, and you have the color red. Okay. And preferably you have flaming red tits. That's the way it goes. Are you going to go get him? All right, I'll finish up here in just a second. So if you have flaming red tits, then you can be noticed on the casino floor. And that's kind of like how I feel about like trying to maintain focus when I am writing something new. Anyways, that's just off the top of my head. Bill Conti, I am interested in writing about, do I offer coaching? Yeah, I would be happy to do that. I don't know if I'd charge you the same rate. It's funny is Ryan wanted to do some sort of classes about that, and I might collab with him on that. But yeah, I'd be happy to. Hit me up in my email. You can get the email in the description there. Hello. What are your thoughts on postmodernism in art and its consequences on art and the creative process, a la being labeled a creative? Okay. Well, there's postmodernism in a classic sense, in that it being an artistic movement, right? So if you're looking at like Andy Warhol, okay, you're looking at postmodernism. I don't know if Jackson Pollock falls into that. Maybe he does. But if you look at postmodernism as a movement in art, that's one thing. It's another thing to consider postmodernism in the 21st century, where art no longer exists. Art is content. And I have always struggled against that. I can remember when I worked for Van Gogh Vodka, and if you guys look at the old bottles of Van Gogh Vodka where they had the Van Gogh paintings and pictures on them, that's me. That's all my hand work. You want to know what's Rollo's art look like? Well, this is one. But if you want to know what my commercial art looks like, I was responsible for about 90% of the Van Gogh Vodka bottles. There's an artist that came right before me, but I'm the one that came up with the espresso and double espresso vodka bottles. Any of the ones that look like that was sort of painted by Van Gogh himself, those are the ones that I did. And so you can go, if you just do a Google search or image search of the Van Gogh vodka bottles, it's not the most current ones because they changed them up and made them really homogenous. Each one of mine was an individual work of art. And now you can and if you look at them, if you look at the same flavor, if you look at espresso or you look at let's say cherry, I'm trying to think of this, mango vodka, those ones. If you look at those bottles and you put them next to the new series 3 bottles, it's they just look like anything else, right? My series of bottles always were individually hand-drawn works of art. And I just described this process recently. I would hand draw them. I would scan them. I would hand draw them. Then I would ink them. Then I would scan them. And then I would go, the process of silk screening on a bottle is a little complex. So you had to create layers for each one of those individual colors. And you only got anywhere between, depending on the colors you were using, you could get between 5 and 7 colors. One of them had to be black, obviously, because of the outline. And then you put those colors, and they had to be layered in such a way that when you layer them all on top of each other, that they make a cohesive picture, right? So that's part of the craft of making those types of bottles. And they're also the kind of picture bottles that you look into. So when there's liquid in the clear vodka is in the bottle, magnifies the art in the back of it, in the back of the bottle, and then it has an open area where you look at the thing. So now you're not only just doing the front where it like shows it, then you're also doing the image in the back, which has to read correctly, which is the mirror of how it looks when you're looking through it. So you have to consider that in all of that. And so it was very complex. I learned how to do it probably over the course of about 3 months. And once I got it down, it just became a template, right? But I used to hate having to deal with the sales reps because they would call it content, or they would call it like a product or a unit. And I'm like, I spend a lot of fucking time doing that. That's my art. This is art. This is not a fucking unit. This is not a product. This is like, and I used to love to go, like when I would go to Panama, or I'd go to, I'd spend a lot of time, the main distillery was in Schiedam, Holland. And I remember going through the duty-free stores in those countries and seeing my bottles there. And I'm just like, if I did something, people all around the world have seen it, right? This was before the Rational Mail or any of this stuff, right? And it was a point of pride to be able to walk through a duty-free store and see my bottles there. And because it was art to me. But now art is content. So, and it's becoming cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, especially with AI and everything else right now. I was talking to Mike Sartain on yesterday's show, and we've been talking about AI, and he uses Perplexity, and he uses a lot of like different engines and stuff like that. Whereas like he uses it for information. I use it primarily for art and graphics and for video stuff, which you can see on my thumbnails and stuff like that too. So just put that anywhere. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. The next crew has arrived. Let me give you the announcements here right quick. Oh, what do you got here? People say I should pod, but I don't know shit. Oh, well, it's not hard. Just look at it. Just find some. There's some good videos on how to do it on YouTube. It's not hard. I need to pod. What? Yeah. Pick up StreamYard. That's what I run. OBS is pretty easy too. I use StreamYard because it's a holdover from when I was like having multiple people on, doing like remotes and stuff like that. There's probably some better ways to do it, I guess. But anyway, Riverside.fm. Anyways, so let's see. I am going to be doing Access Vegas. Will be on Wednesday. I'm going to have. Do you know Alvaro from Powerhouse?
Yes.
I'm going to have Alvaro in here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
You know how good looking he is, right?
Yeah.
Imagine. I know, no homo.
I don't know if I call someone handsome, but sure.
Imagine him being on that show with strippers from the Rhino. That's going to be the show. That's going to be the show on Wednesday. I am like so fucking looking forward to it.
Dude, Iris, Kyle, and Hide want to kind of come on the show with you.
I want them to come on. I want to do an interview. I want to do interviews with them first.
Because she'd give you such a great interview too. Because she's 10-time Miss Olympia. She's the most crowned Olympian. For bodybuilding for women's.
Yeah, and then Hide's 2023 IFBB Pro champion.
First ever Olympian place from Japan ever.
Yeah,
the only one actually, I think, so far.
Yeah. Oof. Rollo, how'd you get so big? Hanging out with these people. I will tell you this, man. Like going to Powerhouse has done wonders. Like absolutely wonders. Like everybody's so fucking cool there.
Yeah.
Like they know me by name when I walk in. They're like, "Hey, I was going." I always have something to say. Even
Rollo walks in. He's like, "No pictures. No pictures."
Yeah, I get recognized occasionally. Anyways, so that'll be Wednesday, and then again on Saturday I will be in San Diego, and I'll be doing the Bunny Ball, which I've never been to, and I haven't been to San Diego in a long time. We're probably going to be doing a lot of Instagram stuff. Myself and Joe Marron are going to be on that. Joe's got a boat to take out into the bay on Saturday, so we'll definitely be doing some video from there. And then we'll be at the Bunny Ball, and then this show will be live from San Diego next Sunday. So that's what you have to look forward to. And again, once again, letting you guys know about Thor, Red Pill Thor. If you guys are so inclined, please go look him up on Twitter. I don't have I wish I had got his link before I came on live. But he has a GoFundMe page, and it's mostly for Missy right now because Thor's decided to decline the chemo this time. So, but I'll keep you guys up to date on that. And until then, I guess we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Would you do it again? I need to feel you on top of me. It was my first time, but I was just a kid when we met.
Tell these bitches to go to hell.
It was my first time. What do you expect from me? I'm breaking up the rules now in the game. I've got some new tools. Please do the same. Time came by when over like a matchbox stereo. Time to get my thoughts now. Bound to keep me up all night.
Gotcha, bitch.
But maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know if maybe we can fuck again, then maybe things are different. Goddamn,
How dare you?
best in my life. I'm like, man, bro, sometimes you don't get no hoes, man. Now we're fucking in the bathroom, tearing up every wall while I got your hair. Why you screaming my name?
That's nasty. It is nasty, right? Isn't it nasty? Ugh.
She was swinging in the bedroom, whole time stopping and stopping with her head like she's calling you Kelly.
Well, I'm a whore.
Want me? Ride me up and down like a pony, turning up my song, getting messy, working up and down on your body. Want me? Ride me up and down like a pony, turning up my song.
I feel like I just took a bath in battery acid.
Population.
Preceding podcast has been a production of the Rational Mail. All rights reserved. Registered trademark 2025. Don't steal Cappy stuff.
All right, all right, all right.
Misogyny.
FBI, open up!
God wants you to have the baby.